Good evening, one and all. We are here, and we're in Trump country.
We're in Trump country, but we are watching as Danielle Levine Cava just won the mayoral race. So
it's not. No, she did not win the race. Did they? They didn't say that.
No,
but she's up. She's up by 10 points right now.
Okay, well, I don't know. This looks. I can't hear. I can't hear, but it looks. Oh wow.
Chevron won. Well, he was on. He was not challenged.
Oh, all right. I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, so it looks really good for Danielle Levine in Miami. It looks really good for her.
We've had some good outcomes here in Broward, especially for some of the city commission races.
Yes,
which is obviously a good thing. So
we're still waiting on some things.
We're still waiting on some races. So obviously it's a little early. But you know, the good thing about Florida, about our state, is that a lot of people obviously voted early. They voted by mail. So it looks like
Amendment 1's passing.
Yes.
People vote yes on amendments.
Hey, Carolina.
You know what's always so frustrating is how people just always vote yes on amendments, which is why getting amendments is one way that people can like shove things through. But just if you have enough money behind it, you can advertise it.
Does it say where the amendments are right
now? Look,
now?
Amendment 3 is going to pass.
So we are going to have.
I missed 2, which is sad because that's the only one I really
So
care
guys,
about,
this is very interesting. Just so you know, so this is very important, and I'm going to put this in the chat.
It's been a crazy.
Now going forward, we're going to have open primaries in Florida. Now, how quickly that's going to happen, I don't know, but it's going to be a form of a jungle primary. What that means is that if Jen were to run again against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, it means that she would be in a primary with all candidates, meaning Democrats and Republicans. Now, that could potentially be an advantage because she has the name recognition and would ultimately have pretty good funding. What that can ultimately lead to is her being in the general election against Debbie, and then it really becomes a race. I'm doing a face mask right now, thinking of you. Thank you, Sam. So it's really, I know a lot of people want to kind of, they're thinking right now, like, what's going to happen? Where's the race going? What is the overall results for the night going to look like? I think right now, I'm not surprised that Trump is winning Florida.
Can I just interject for a second?
Yes.
I'm watching it go by locally, and it's so disappointing to me. Not only do people always vote yes on amendments without really understanding them, but people always vote yes to retain judges. And they just vote yes. They just vote, should so-and-so be retained?
And that's
yes.
the one position that I would vote no on.
Exactly.
Most judges never term out.
Exactly. And so don't people see what we end up with when we don't have some limitations in some extent on the judiciary? And when you put it on there as a, should they stay, and people automatically vote yes, it's not a real challenge.
All right. It looks like Danielle Levine Cava is going to be the next mayor of Miami-Dade. That is a very important win.
We're very pleased.
Daniela is definitely, and she had the Sunrise Movement behind her here in Miami. So John Paul Mejia, if you're watching right now,
yay.
Kudos to you. You guys really did an amazing job. You got a bunch of people saying hi to you right now.
Hi all. Oh my goodness, that's my cousin, Shani. You're watching my live stream?
Everybody who's watching right now, I'm going to put a message in the chat.
Okay.
Make sure to hit the like button.
Yes, everybody hit the like button. And if you're not watching us in YouTube, go there and subscribe to us,
please.
Leave
a comment and subscribe. Subscribe on
Joe Scott. Yay.
YouTube.
Okay, so I see Joe Scott went.
Not surprising. Debbie Hickson wins. She had an amazing ground game as much as anybody who's running. So she will be the new at-large school board leader.
But looks like,
the Broward County School Board.
But Joe Scott is now our new supervisor of elections.
And Harold Pryor is our new state attorney.
And that's really good stuff.
Yes.
That's really good. That I was actually a little concerned about that, but only given such the controversy with the sheriff. But since the sheriff pulled it out, it looks like, oh, look at that. Of course, he was unopposed.
Yes, that is true.
Rita tried running against him, but you can't. It's set up in a way that you can't really do it.
Well, that's the way that, again, unfortunately, to Dade's credit, they were a lot more progressive, and they have been more progressive. When Stacey Patel ran for, when she ran to be head of the Florida Democratic Party, she actually won Miami-Dade against Terry Rizzo. And that just says that there really is a progressive contingency that does exist in Miami-Dade. So to their credit, that absolutely makes a difference. No two ways about it. So very happy for them. And yeah, you're going to have some silver lining victories, but obviously,
I'm really wanting to see what's going on in Sunrise. If anybody knows what's going on in Sunrise, please post it.
Yes, we want to know what's going on in the
Sunrise
City
City Commission.
Sunrise
It looked to me like
City
Jennifer Andrew was
Commission.
doing really well in Plantation, so I was happy to see that.
Yes, there are a number of pretty solid victories. Linda Anderson.
It looked like Linda Anderson was going to take out Peter Hernandez, and that would in Hollywood, and that would be a win.
Yeah,
that would be a win.
So there's definitely going to be some house cleaning, but there is no question that I would say right now, the way things are looking for Trump, and this is why it's, especially in Florida, we passed 400 subscribers on YouTube already. That's great. That's a great start. We definitely need everybody to be watching, liking, commenting, and sharing the podcasts and the clips that go with it, because that's how we're going to build the channel really fast and very effective.
Now, admittedly, we just recently dumped a whole bunch of interviews and content sort of at the same time because we had some stuff built up. But we are going to get into, I hope, a more regular routine of doing either 1 or 2 content pieces a week. And I am getting ready to, actually, I think I can even just say it. I mean, I'm going to have to do a little clip for it anyway. But I'm getting ready to do our first ever Patreon members only event. And I will be putting something together explaining what that is, but we're going to do it in sort of a book club format. And that way people who want to join us can actually come and get their questions answered from the author of the book. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. More on that.
And I think,
hi, Mark.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people viewing right now. So for those that are watching, remember, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed, not just on YouTube, but on Spotify and on Apple Podcast. And leave a comment. The more comments we get, obviously, the higher the algorithm ultimate. That was who I was talking about. This guy, Greg Musselwhite.
So ridiculous.
There's only one person in South Florida that's allowed to wear a cowboy hat, and that's Frederica Wilson.
And it's not a real cowboy hat. And she still does look ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, come on. So Alcee, again, that's the thing about Broward politics. It's sort of, you have the D in front of your name, and there will be some good Democrats that get through, and then there's obviously going to be the hardcore establishment, don't really do anything Democrats.
But this guy to look like that and put that out there, to think that he would have a chance in his district, just shows you he has no concept of his district.
No, I mean, listen, everything went chalk here in South Florida as far as Broward is concerned. Wasserman Schultz retains her seat.
So wait, but don't you think it's interesting that that's the exact same percentage?
For who?
What did Debbie and Carla?
Debbie and Carla Spalding basically have the same numbers as Ted Deutsch and James Pruden have.
That's basically the point that somebody has made spread. Is that it's always the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Because again, it's consistent in Broward in terms of where the numbers drop. And obviously, bless you, in Miami-Dade, it's not looking good for the Democrats. Right now, it looks like Debbie Mercurso Powell is very likely going to lose her seat to Mayor Jimenez. And Maria Elvira is definitely, that's a closer race with Donna Shalala. Donna Shalala has a lot of money behind her. But, there's no question that Trump's overperforming in Miami-Dade is likely, not guaranteed, but is likely going to cost the Democrats 2 House seats. And that's big. That's probably not something that they anticipated happening. And I think that this is, even if Biden ends up winning the election, the overlooking of the Latino community, especially in South Florida, Trump, the difference in this election in many ways, as many people have said, is that the older white vote has really moved over to Biden's side comparative to where it was for Trump in 2016. But the Latino vote, ironically, keeps moving into Trump's column. And there could be a number of reasons for that. We haven't talked to enough people to really discern one way or the other why that is. I have no doubt that, immigration probably plays a role. It's not for us who are natives of this country to be able to speak on an issue with people who...
See, I watched this number get
lower and lower. No, I want that number to go up,
I know,
up.
But you're saying this is what I think happens when you sort of get like too often attended. People are like, they don't, that's why you got to be, and we have to be like, we need a program.
Well, we're just going live right now on election night. There's no program to have. This thing could change at any moment.
I know.
So like I said, keep on hitting that like button. So anyway, my point is Trump is definitely exceeding expectations with the Latino vote, and Biden is also exceeding expectations with the older white vote. So it'll be interesting to see where it breaks. But right now, Trump has a very comfortable lead in Florida. So we'll see what ultimately ends up happening there. Around the rest of the country, everything is going chalk right now. It does look like Biden is doing very well in Texas, but it also looks like Trump is doing better than expected in Georgia. So
see, I find that weird that, well, I guess it's the same numbers, but they're different districts. So it's weird that it's the exact same percentage. I just think it's interesting that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is 59% to Carla Spalding 41%, and Ted Deutsch is 59% to his opponent's 41%.
I mean, listen, that happens.
I find that weird.
No, it's just somebody likes your shirt. Oh,
thank
Kat. You. Hey, Kat. Good to see you.
Hi. Good vibes. Good vibes. Yeah. I'm feeling.
We're picking up the numbers again.
All right, good.
Like I said, make sure we're gonna keep saying hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Keep spreading the word. The better the screen. Who cares? Yeah, exactly.
Gosh,
it's like a cow. Okay, stop.
Okay.
Yeah, can you pay attention?
I'm trying to learn what I need to talk about. I want to.
I don't think this
Singer. Oh, different David Singer.
Yes, different David Singer. Can't be on the Republican side.
I was going to say.
I can't believe Pennsylvania is flipping red to blue. It might. I mean, listen, right now, Biden's off to a great start because of Philadelphia. We'll see if it ultimately holds.
He needs to win Pennsylvania.
He does. If Trump is going to win again, he has to win Pennsylvania. If he loses it, you can pretty much.
I think Trump has to win Florida, which he looks like he will.
Yeah.
And in order for Biden to win, he needs to win Pennsylvania.
I would agree with that as well.
So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, have you seen anything about like Wisconsin or anything?
Everybody is suggesting that Wisconsin is definitely going in the Biden column. Michigan probably will go in the Biden column again. I don't know if there's a way that you can change this to just sort of put up a YouTube map.
You could do whatever you want.
Okay. Maria. Okay. So these numbers are stagnated right now. Sometimes that happens in Florida where we kind of get to a point where the numbers are not really changing one way or the other. They kind of, that you could say that they're stalling. I don't know really what you want to call it. But there are times where you'll get to that stagnate point where it's at, like, let's say 80% for a half an hour and you're wondering what's going on here, not getting the updates as quickly as you would like. So right now, I don't know if there's
like live.
Yeah, if there's any type of a map or anything right now. Yeah.
Reuters had something, but
I would want to stick with, you know what? Something like Australia. That's probably more, that's more our speed, because there's definitely not as much of a vested corporate interest there. They're just going to call balls and strikes, which is obviously what we're looking for.
It's not remotely as entertaining for me since we have the volume turned off. Like if I'm going to be watching Australian media, I need to hear the accent. And it's hard for me to sit and just like, look, Bo's on. What's Bo saying? See, these are things I should know.
Yeah, but you're going to lose attention to people here.
But I don't know. This is why I said there's so much things going on tonight. There's so much to watch. Not to mention, has anybody checked in over with Joe Rogan, Kyle Kalinske, and potentially Alex Jones? And did, in fact, Alex Jones show up for that because he sort of invited himself to that little shindig? So I don't know if he was actually going to show up, but just the idea of Joe Rogan and Kyle Kalinske, like that's what I would be watching on election night.
Well, we got to get Jen on Joe Rogan at some point, since Kyle.
And that is the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. Is to do that. There was a Reuters map.
Can I ask that? Can I ask everybody? No Alex Jones yet. I think they said he was going to be making the lack of civil unrest so far. Yes, there hasn't been a lot, Sam.
And I'm glad to see that you're pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
Instead of, mildly disappointed.
No. And of course we don't want, look, we want everything to go smoothly. We were at the polls today. Everything was a consistent flow. It was not overwhelmingly crowded. And I was between Broward and Dade at a lot of different locations. Ultimately,
this is watching as votes come in, but I don't know how to make it. Hold on.
Okay, so we've got an interesting view of the map right now.
I don't know how to make it so I can actually read that.
What does it matter?
Well, I like
all you have to do
numbers.
Is look. Who cares?
Okay. All right.
I know.
All right. Fine. You know the numbers. I like to see the numbers.
So it's again way too early because Michigan is red, but Ohio's blue and Pennsylvania's blue,
and it looks like Texas is blue. So let's everybody not get ahead of ourselves.
Yes, it's still way too early to make any firm calls. Again, the only reason why Florida looks like it's going to go for Trump is because overwhelmingly the state voted early and voted early in person. voted early by mail and voted early in person. There was not a crazy amount of people voting in person today. It was a steady stream, sure, but not what you would normally expect on election day, which is all the more reason why we probably expected the numbers to come
Yeah,
up.
John, I know I could share the screen, but we're not even looking at it on our screen. I just have the tablet map up, but we could do that, I suppose.
Yeah, so if we want to get that up there, but right now, it is still way too early to call. But the one thing I think is pretty clear, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but it doesn't look like that this is going to be a blowout by any stretch. I know a lot of people were anticipating, something like that. Can you hit the mute button?
Can you just?
And so I think ultimately, a lot of people thought that Biden was going to win by a very comfortable margin. Looking at the numbers right now, that does not look like it's the case. It does look like he could win, absolutely, but it also looks like Trump could win. So Chrome tab. And then if you have a map that you want to share, yeah, there you go.
Well, this is
okay. So this is the current map, and this is what we're going to be, basically showing you guys. This is essentially where the trajectory is right now. Any of the states that are fully shaded in obviously have been called. So it's still, again, way too early, bless you, to be making any type of, assessment as to where things are ultimately going to trend. Because I think a lot of people thought that Georgia was going to trend. Right now, it's funny. Alabama is trending blue right now. And that won't last.
No, that will definitely not last. And a lot of this also depends on the variance between states that count their absentee ballots ahead of time, states that don't count their absentee ballots ahead of time. Some numbers come in that are day of, numbers come in before the absentee ballots are counted. So it really depends. And unfortunately, every state does it different. And so it's like a three-winged circus.
We want to hear from you guys on what your thoughts are going forward, because there's no question that it's probably going to be close and Biden might ultimately end up winning, but I still think we're going to have a divided government if, in fact, it already looks like the Democrats may be losing some seats in the House. And again, that's only going based on what we're seeing here in Florida. Congressional District 26, Congressional District 27 appear to be the only two seats in Florida that may be on the verge of a flip. I do not know what's going on right now. Do you need some more?
No, I'm fine.
If you need to look in District 18, which covers Palm Beach County and Martin County, that is Brian Mast and why am I blanking on her? Pam Keith. So that's basically the only swing seat that we have going on right now in the state of Florida. But as far as any other place goes, everything looks like it's going chalk for now. So, obviously everybody who knows Jackie Guzman has 47, Ern C has 16 as of 8:54. Okay. We definitely like Jackie. There's no question that there was a gentleman who was running in this race who was what we would call a handpicked candidate of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We did not support that person by any stretch of the imagination.
No, we do not.
There's no question that, Jackie is definitely an ally. She's definitely more on the right than she is on the left. But the truth is, it is a city commission race. It is nonpartisan. It is supposed to be how you govern that local portion of your city that you live in, not what your political affiliation is. And we have this very big problem in Broward County,
yes, we do,
where they turn these nonpartisan city commission races into partisan races. That is the Democratic Party machine. And this covers everybody. This is not just Republicans and independents. A lot of Democrats get shafted as well because the Debbie Wasserman Schultz led machine decides to jump in and basically pick their candidates. Now,
and I would like to point out that the local Republican Party does not do that the same way.
Well, they can't. They don't have an infrastructure. But I don't know. You see,
but
that's that's not a good example. You need to see how that operates in a much more populated red county, like, for example, what's the West Coast county where Naples is? Why am I blanking on this? Collier County. You see, I would look in Collier County and see if they conduct business the same way they do here in Broward. If anybody knows anything about Collier County, about Naples, the Ave Maria area, if anybody who knows anything about that, if you can shed light on that, I'd be curious to know if the Collier County GOP operate in the same capacity that the Democratic Party of Broward County does?
I would bet you they don't.
Maybe they don't.
All
I know is that it's not about Democrats. It's about establishment selected Democrats that are basically going to do as they're told, essentially. So over the course of the primary and over the course of the general election, there were a lot of solid candidates who got left in the dust simply because they didn't either have the right friend or they didn't have the right connection. That's not what should be determining whether you get elected or not. We don't have fair and free elections, far from it. But way too many people get too caught up in what's going on at the top. Your vote for Biden or your vote for Trump has the least, you have the least impact on that one vote. But the vote that you cast for your state house representative, for your city commission, your county commission, that's where your vote really makes a difference. And that's where your impact can really make a difference. So paying attention to these local candidates really goes a long way. I would say for Jackie, in Sunrise, I would say that the difference for her is she had the backing of the firefighters and the police union.
Yes.
And that definitely matters. There's no question about it that it does.
You know what? Just being, every time I've been at any of the polls, one of the things that I notice is that of all the people standing there and sort of handing out the flyers and handing out the slate cards, the one to me that is the most influential and would be if I were just any voter is when I see the firefighters in their union t-shirts handing out someone's cards. That matters.
Credibility.
It is. It's credibility. And unfortunately, I know for a fact that the firefighter union is not necessarily backing the candidate that is in the best interest of those firefighters. And in some cases, they probably don't even know. Like some of the less political people, they're just out helping their union. They're just out passing out flyers. They probably have no idea that the person that they're backing is really not in their best interest. So it's unfortunate that that's the case, but yet it adds credibility. So the fact that she was backed by those things, I'm sure it was very helpful to her.
And that is what makes nonpartisan races great. Because even though Jackie tends to lean to the right, they ultimately decided that she was the best person and not just going based on the fact of, what are your stripes? It's all about what are your proposals? How are you funded? And how are you going?
No, it's how much money do you have?
Money matters. No question. It's not everything. It just depends on how much do you have enough. It's not a matter of, again, when you ran against Wasserman Schultz, you simply didn't have enough money. You're never going to have more than Debbie. But if you have enough to run an infrastructure where you can get the votes you need in order to win, that's what matters. Same is true for a local race. If you do not have any type of a financial infrastructure, it's almost impossible to win. We'll ultimately see what ends up happening. A very interesting race will be the mayoral race in Hallandale Beach between Joy Adams and Joy Cooper.
I'm still trying to get a live feed.
If anybody knows what's going on in Hallandale right now, we definitely would like to get an update on Hallandale Beach and know for sure what is going on in the mayoral race between Joy Cooper and Joy Adams. I actually met Joy Adams today, and I was just there, just to, schmooze, break the ice, just talk to some people that were hanging out. And the way that Joy Adams approached me and handed me her pen, I didn't need it, but she was like, no, I want you to have my pen. And she did it in such a way that was so alpha. It was so confident. I said, that's really, really cool. And obviously we had a great conversation. She had a lot of nice things to say.
And of course it doesn't hurt that the current mayor is under, I think that there have been so many investigations and criminal allegations against this person that just the mere appearance of that amount of impropriety is very disturbing.
And on top of that,
anybody with integrity would step down when you have that much shady baggage. You would say this is not good for us. And
Joy Cooper is somebody who was unabashedly pro-Debbie. She never hit it. And, we don't play the smear game. I don't play the smear game. But the one thing I can tell you, out of all the locations we went to, and we went to every location in the congressional district over the course of the early voting and election day, this particular race was very interesting because she does have a criminal history, and they were holding up signs showing her mugshot.
Oh, yeah.
That matters.
Yeah. So at the Hallandale polling location during early voting, there was a group of people that are they don't like that she's a criminal, go figure. And there is a sign that has a picture of her, a mugshot, and a list of all of the different allegations. And it's a big sign. And this guy standing there holding this sign. And then you look around the corner, and sitting up the little hill and on a little bench is Joy Cooper, away from everybody else, not coming near the people, not socializing with people. And I can't blame her. I mean, I wouldn't want to be standing next to my mugshot. She could come down and she'd just be standing there next to her mugshot.
Yeah. And that's, and that
quite
again,
unfortunate.
No, and name recognition matters. There is no question. Name recognition it's everything in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, people have to know who you are.
And most people don't know who their people are. They don't know who
No.
their commissioner is. They don't know who their representative is. They don't know. And more importantly, they generally don't care.
No.
They don't. Because it doesn't affect their lives. Their lives kind of just suck either way.
I can honestly say that a lot of, and again, this was a very unique year because we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. But I can honestly tell you, especially when it's a race like Biden and Trump, no. But if it's a city commission race, you really can get somebody to vote for you the moment you meet them at the polling station. That's why those races are so vital. They have to see you. But that wasn't really the case necessarily over the course of this primary and over the course of this general election, especially here in Florida, where the pandemic has been off the charts bad. I also think that because the pandemic is so bad here in Florida, yet it appears that Trump is going to win the state again, it kind of speaks to, well, it either speaks to what's going to happen in the country, or Florida's just an enigma and there's really no way to understand how we operate.
Florida.
Yeah. Name recognition matters. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And so
we're working on it. So for name recognition, everybody subscribe, like, share.
Please hit the like button.
Everybody hit the like button and everybody subscribe. But see, sometimes I think, especially when we're live, don't they have to subscribe on YouTube? What if they're watching it on Facebook? That's the thing. See, if you're watching it on Facebook or even on Twitter, we need you to subscribe on YouTube.
That's where we really can make the difference in terms of getting the type of
So for the people
that we really need.
So that's what we really need.
So right now we've only got 21 people watching. We've only had 17 likes. We need you to hit that like button if you haven't liked it. Well, I have to. He's my friend and he knows how to do this.
Jordan.
So hit that like button to 23 now. We're getting them up there. Okay.
See, everybody needs to like.
And you got to share it with everyone that you know.
Everyone you know, even if they
hate politics.
Even if they hate
they'll probably enjoy this. Okay, so $15 minimum wage is going to pass.
Yay!
That's great. That is probably the best news of the night.
That is Amendment 2.
Yes.
So is Amendment 3, though. So that'll make life very interesting for us.
It definitely will. It depends on when it takes off.
But even in order for it to take off, it still has to actually be legislated. It's not a piece of, they still have to create how it works. Like that has to all be created they need to create a law about that.
No, there is no question that is going to be.
It has to have a system.
It's going to be a very interesting point, depending on what ultimately ends up happening. I think if it's again, will it be ready for 2022 is the question. Just like when we passed what was the one for voter rights restoration?
It was the last Amendment 4.
Yeah,
not
still hasn't really passed. And they had all of these massive fines that needed to be paid. And a lot of people, including Mike Bloomberg, a lot of them went above and beyond financially to try to get people to be able to vote in this state. But just the fact that there was this full court press put on Trump, pillar to post everywhere in this country, and he's still within striking distance to win this election. To me, I just think it's a question of how he handled COVID, and that is ultimately what's going to decide it. And this is a divided nation. It is extremely divided.
And of course, let's not forget that the Democrats haven't exactly presented somebody that gets any amount of enthusiasm.
No.
And that's always the problem. I don't care what polls say. Polls will indicate what you're intending to do, but they don't indicate what you actually do. And so somebody might prefer Joe Biden when they get polled on the phone, but that doesn't mean they're going to be motivated enough to go and vote for Joe
Trump's
Biden.
And Trump's people are extremely motivated.
Yes,
now, again,
and that's the
we may
difference.
be in Florida, but I got to tell you, they're everywhere. And they love him. I mean, they'll crawl over broken glass to vote for this guy and get their entire family to do it too.
And what I realized really is even when we're in Broward, which is the bluest county in Florida.
Yeah.
And yet I see so much more support for Trump, not just at the polls, but just all over the place.
Yes.
I see more support. There is a lot more visible support for Trump than there is for Biden. And we live in the bluest county in the state. So to me, just being logical, that's where I have been saying that Trump's going to win Florida.
Yeah.
Because if we're not seeing that much support for Biden and we're the bluest county, it's not a good sign.
No, but again, it all comes down to what ultimately happens in other states.
Pennsylvania,
right now,
people, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Pennsylvania probably is ultimately going to be the decider. It looks like Biden is doing well in North Carolina. That's important.
Joe Biden's doing well in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if Joe Biden wins Texas, then forget it. It doesn't matter because the combination of Texas, New York, and California will ultimately win the day. That'll win the day. And Illinois. So right now, I don't know.
And if Texas goes blue, that is going to be a big hit in the face of the Republicans. And you know what? They'll be so happy about that they'll overlook the fact that they're losing 2 congressional seats down here.
Yeah, they probably would. But again, it all depends on what the congressional seats are going to be picked up, because the 2 representatives down here that would be losing their seats are definitely centrist and especially Donna Shalala, neoliberal
and
Democrat.
And purpley districts.
Correct. Now, in Texas, we obviously would love to see some of the progressives running: Mike Siegel, Donna Imam, Adrian Bell, and I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody else, but those are definitely the top 3. And again, it's very possible that those seats could ultimately flip in our direction, which would obviously expand the squad, if you will, which would be very, very helpful. Because again, we have to be electing Democrats at the congressional level that support Medicare for all. These other ones that don't, it's all about corporate special interest money. And that's the thing that we've been emphasizing. Nothing else in politics matters except corporate special interest money, because that's the starting point. If you take the dirty money, you're never going to support the initiatives that really matter.
You're not going to be motivated to compromise. You're not going to really care. You're just going to sit there and take corporate money. And that's what they're doing. They're not trying. They don't even care. You're not going
to support Medicare for all. You are not going to support UBI. You are not going to support a living wage or a Green New Deal. And that is contingent in many respects on whether or not you take that money. That in itself is that is a very close race. George Odom and Dennis Bailey.
Okay.
Interesting. We like George.
I don't know that I've ever met him in person, but I did. Yeah.
Heard good things. But again, that's a very close race. Most of the races have, again, like I said, Florida's very interesting in terms of how quickly a lot of the returns have come in. Trump is closing the gap in Ohio against Biden. He had a big lead early.
I don't think.
Same with Pennsylvania. Trump had he
has to come back pretty far, but I mean, it's only 15%.
Yeah, well, like I said, most of the lead that Biden had very early on was obvious. That's all Philadelphia, and so that's going to be determinative. Which right now, Trump's already cut 17 points off of Biden's lead, and it's only 15% reporting. So it's way, way, way too early. Whereas in Florida, the reason it's looking like it's trending definitely towards Trump is because over 80% of the vote is in, and a lot of the outstanding vote is in the panhandle. So if that's the case, then it would take, again, what's funny is that if Biden was up by 3 points right now, how quickly you think they'd be itching to call Florida in Biden's direction versus in Trump's?
Of course.
We're just trying to keep it 100% here, guys.
But in all fairness, it really depends on how the absentee ballot ratio counting goes in contrast with election day counting. And I'm not sure, because the Biden votes most of the mail-in ballots are going to be more Democratic ballots than Republican ballots. So it depends on how it's counted.
Yeah, there's no question that but again, that would be what I would want to know right now. What is the holdup here in Florida? Because I know that there's been some stagnation. What
is the holdup? It's
there's always something going down.
Exactly.
In Florida, which is sort of funny.
There's always problems, always shenanigans, Florida is always the problem.
Yes, it is. But what else is new? It's Florida, baby. So
always the problem.
So obviously we want to talk about what comes next, because regardless of whether or not Trump wins or Biden wins, there's 2 things that I see here. If Trump were to win, then I think neoliberalism as its hold on the Democratic Party is dead, because I don't think that they can survive another loss to a guy like this. It's a complete repudiation. And on top of the fact that Trump's just been a disaster. But most will say that they just simply couldn't bring themselves to vote for Biden. And that's not good. Could you even imagine if Bernie was the nominee right now, screaming Medicare for all, a living wage, and UBI at the top of his lungs? A Green New Deal at the top of his lungs, which is a infrastructure plan.
But that would be
jobs.
the landslide that they don't want, because
That's
they
correct.
really don't want that. They prefer Trump. We know this.
That is correct. It's all, but again, I thought it's supposed to be what the people want.
No.
As we've found out that that's not really the case. So nevertheless,
People want Medicare for all.
people do want Medicare for all. And I guarantee you, as we go forward, it's at 70 something percent, 90% Democrats favor Medicare for all now. Eventually it's going to be everybody. And even the people who are the die in the wool, vote blue no matter who Democrats, begrudgingly admit, yeah, we really need Medicare for all. But they don't want to fight against their own party, because this is the reason why we really need to establish Gen Core and generational change as this nonpartisan. Now, we're Democrats, but it is a nonpartisan coalition that needs to be built.
Yes.
This cannot be about anything other than the issues.
Well, when you say that, okay, we are Democrats, meaning we are registered as Democrats.
Correct.
That's what we mean. But
Correct.
But our organization and our podcast, which, in all fairness, I'll talk to anybody who's not beholden to a system. I really will. So to me, that's really more of the issue. And if people are, actually representing their constituents and not representing special interests, I'll talk to anybody. And Gen Core, which is our volunteer network, we're going to still be out and doing service. We want to get we're going to get back into a schedule we have both Feeding South Florida and Mobile School Pantry, but we're also going to be doing something for Thanksgiving. Information to be coming soon. We're going to be having some sort of distribution, and we will be working. We will be aligning with somebody. We're not entirely sure yet who. I think I'm having allergies. And so
it's possible.
And so there's a few different things we might be doing, but we would like to collaborate. We're hopefully going to be able to do so in Dania Beach and do some sort of distribution. But we will be having a Gen Core volunteer opportunity for Thanksgiving. So people pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And we're going to also, and the other thing that we're doing is we are going to be adopting a street in Dania Beach. And now I am also on to adopting a dune. We can adopt a dune. We can adopt a dune in Hollywood, or we can adopt a dune in Surfside. There are dunes for adoption in Surfside.
I think Surfside would definitely be a great place, quite frankly, because they have a massive problem with sea level rise. So I would think that would be a great location.
So I'm gonna So these are the kinds of things that we're gonna be doing, Gen Core things, just sort of making our mark and leaving our name and cleaning up and just doing these things. So that's what we're up to now. And for people that are Patreon members, we're starting to get our merch in. That things will be going out to members, and we will be having our first members only event coming up. That will be a book club that I'm going to put out. I was waiting for all the election stuff to kind of be over and then do like hi, this is what we're doing now. So there will be a coming video, but I'm going to be putting this out. It's going to give everybody some time to read a book. If you're a member, you'll be able to come on to the Zoom call and participate in a Q&A with the author. And so that'll be a really cool Patreon event. And then, of course, that will be posted so everyone will be able to see my interview. But I don't want to give an announcement yet until this is all official. But that will be our first Patreon event. That's what we're doing.
And we're going to be having a lot of great special guests on our podcast. We had to bring a lot of them together very quickly. I'm sorry for anybody who saw that we overwhelmed a lot of the podcasts in the last few days, because we didn't want to have anything going out that was irrelevant to what's going on. Obviously, pre-election versus post-election, but we have some very awesome interviews lined up.
We really do.
Who do we have coming up, Jen?
What has been done but hasn't been put out yet?
I think everything's out now. Everything we've done, yes, everything that we've done up to this point, I believe is out.
So then the next interview I'm doing, I believe, is Greg Palast. Is that the
name? We're going to be talking with Greg Palast. Actually, before we even get to that, Thursday night on our official live stream that we normally do, Jen, we have a good friend of yours.
Yes, Thursday night's live stream, we will be being joined by Katie Halper. Primarily because our producer Sam I think he's infatuated with Katie Halper.
Yes, he absolutely is. But Katie's
loves
awesome.
Katie.
Katie has that type of dry wit New York humor that is exactly what we need.
Look at him. He's
Katie on the live stream
Katie on
Thursday.
The live stream
yes,
Katie's on the live stream Thursday.
If you have not liked comment, or shared the video yet, please do. We've only got 11 watching right now. We got to boost it up.
Well, we could boost it up, but you know what? It's hard because
stay.
I don't blame you people. It's like, this is really kind of
good.
It's like, but it's like, you know, I last time I just wanted to go to sleep and wake up and know, oh, here, now they're going through the paths to the White House.
Yes.
I don't like that. This has not been fun for me since Tim Russert died.
Tim Russert was the last nonpartisan. He was a Democrat, but he was the last nonpartisan guy who did
He wasn't a hack.
Completely neutral. Tim Russert, Mr. Springsteen super fan from Buffalo, New York.
Everything comes back to Springsteen.
Guy on the left. Mike, could you think of anything more Mike Urcioli to say when you come on the line? Yes, it is. And thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. You're improving the.
Although we could fix this a little bit. He's a little bit. He's a little bit unkempt.
That's all everybody. But hey, look, a very good friend of mine from New Jersey is a diehard Trump supporter. So he is probably extremely thrilled with what is going on right now here in Florida, because he's stuck in Blue Jersey. That's what I'm going to call from now on, Blue Jersey, because that's what it is. What's interesting about New Jersey is that it's really a mixed bag state in terms of, you know, like it's like by county.
Look what happened to Texas.
Yeah. Texas just moved back into the Trump column. So now any hope of a Biden landslide looks like that's not going to be the case. The state that's actually getting very interesting now, I must say, because they are halfway through the vote count, it's a 5-6 point margin, but Biden is doing very well in Ohio. That is a very important state. North Carolina matters too, but no Republican has ever won the White House without Ohio. So that is, but then again, Trump is known to break every trend known to man. I was going to say,
how can you even say that?
Could you even imagine if Trump were to win the White House without Ohio? But I doubt that that's a trend that's going to change now. So right now, it's like I said, as we kind of anticipated, this was going to be a close race.
Well,
I know a lot of people didn't think it was going to happen. In Miami, Alana, definitely the Latino vote. And it's not just the Cuban vote.
Are you referring to losing 2 congressional seats?
Yeah, I would say that that has as much to do. Well, remember,
because they're not really blue districts. Well, let's be very clear about that.
Remember when Biden came out and started playing the music? It's like if the tokenism is how you try to approach the Latino community.
Are she talking about what the vote is for Biden in Miami-Dade, or about what's going on with us?
No, it's probably a combination of both. But if Trump ultimately wins Florida, which it looks like right now that he will, he is really overperforming in Miami-Dade, whereas Clinton did very well here in 2016. I think she got like 65% of the vote. And when we were looking earlier, it looked like Biden was only leading by like 9 points.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know why that's happening.
I think that may be is that an ad coming up right now?
Maybe.
Or it looks like no, you could go up there and just click on that and get that out. I'm not sure. I think that may be part of the video. I think that's part of what they're doing on the live stream. I think.
Okay.
I think.
Well,
and there could be.
Okay,
yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
There you go. So,
very interesting.
Yeah, and again,
but I just don't know how long we want to, like, how long.
One thing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I can say, like, just my personal thoughts about those 2 particular congressional representatives were not particularly necessarily moving any mountains. Okay. Those were some pretty dormant blue, just sitting in kind of purple seats. So they were both kind of there, as far as I'm concerned, by the seat of their pants, in terms of those are not safe districts for them. And quite honestly, if you saw the picture of who is running against Donna Shalala, this is what we need to pull up. And it's going to take me a second. So why don't you say something? Because I got to pull that up.
If you look at the map and the way it's breaking right now, there really isn't anything that is surprising per se, other than right now, Ohio is still trending towards Biden. I don't know what the vote counts are right now in Michigan. Michigan is all going to depend on how much of the vote comes out in I believe it's not Oakland County. It's, I'm flubbing on the name right now and the name of the county, but the county that holds, Flint and Detroit. And so that is really where the vote is going to be coming from. Good riddance, Donna Shanana, or whatever. The point is, the neoliberalism and if there's one thing I think we can all agree on, if Trump pulls this off again,
this, people, is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So you can't. This is what we're looking at. So there are a myriad of reasons.
And you don't want to judge a person based on their looks, but when the difference
is reality.
when the difference is so stark. Yeah, we just got a flash of Rick Scott across the screen, and I literally
it's not good.
I thought of Harry Potter. So
when you want to know why are the Democrats not doing well, you know what? It's really, you got to look at things like this. This is not to be, look, seriously.
And what's interesting, and this is actually a very good point, because one of the things that you see right here with Maria Oliveira versus Donna Shalala, this is in essence Nancy Pelosi versus Kevin McCarthy. Now, I don't care what you think of Kevin McCarthy's politics, but I can tell you this: Nancy Pelosi is 80 and Kevin McCarthy is 55. This, in a lot of ways, represents what ultimately happens when you refuse to evolve, when you are not willing to. The good news is that on the Democratic side, we are trying to evolve. I don't know what the point of that is. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
I'm curious.
No, but I'm just saying that regardless of what your politics are, one of the reasons they don't evolve is because neoliberal corporatism is still running rampant within the Democratic Party, even at this moment of a massive pandemic that has claimed almost 250,000 lives. And as we go into the winter months, it's going to get even worse, regardless of who the president is. That's funny, Sam. And again, we don't want to judge anybody on their looks, but unfortunately, you have to have some degree of appeal.
It matters.
That matters. Surface dressing does matter.
But you know what? And this is something that matters to me for a few reasons. And it depends on, are we talking about someone's like just their natural born looks, or are we talking about how somebody keeps themselves? And this is something that I do notice about people. And when you are a representative in any capacity, and I mean at the municipal level or any level, and you are very unkempt, or you don't take care of yourself, or you're unfit, or you're not just in good condition for whatever age that is, to me, that says something. It speaks as to your self-care and yourself and how you take it. Matters to me. So I actually sometimes, and I've done this at the local level, I will support or not support people that I find to be just completely physically let themselves go.
And we don't.
And it's not because they're not attractive. It's because there's no effort there. And that says something to me. So it just does.
Well, and when you're talking about Wasserman Schultz, there is a person who makes zero effort. And you would think as a sitting congressional representative, if you just see the way, Ted Deutsch dresses classy and professional. Frederica Wilson is always wearing a suit and a cowgirl hat and whatever.
She looks ridiculous.
It is what it is. But the truth is, the representation does matter. And that's part of the reason why with Debbie, it's just this, I don't care anymore. It's not a cause for concern for me to even care about representing my district. Now, what was interesting is Debbie actually was out at the polls fairly consistently over the course of the election, which I did find interesting.
I will give her props for actually being out and campaigning when she really didn't have to between the primary and now. She really didn't, but she did. She was out at the polls during early voting.
She wasn't going into any uncharted waters.
She was in, she wasn't
Weston,
going too far east.
West Pines. I think
I did
Sunrise.
see her in Hollywood once.
Yeah, once.
But, I will say this is something that completely disgusts me. And I'm going to say this about the district below us in District 24, and that's Frederica Wilson's district. Frederica Wilson is so comfortable and so entitled sitting in that seat that she not only wasn't out campaigning, not once, not at any polling location, not any appearance, not any panel, not anything. She has not been at anything.
She doesn't answer to her.
She doesn't answer to anybody. But what's not even a sign. She didn't even put out a sign anywhere. That's how entitled and sitting in that seat she is. And by the way, I don't know if you heard how Christine said their interaction when she met her. Christine Olivo, who ran against her as a no party, was introduced to her. And Christine was very, very gracious because Christine's a lovely person.
Yes.
And Christine is like, hi, it's nice to meet you. and just very friendly. And apparently Frederica was completely rude to her, which doesn't surprise me, and said something to her about, you need to wait your turn. You know how many people have been waiting for that? Like, basically reading her that riot act of that entitled, I've been sitting in this seat so long, it belongs to who I think it belongs to.
Yep.
Like, they hand these seats down like they're bequeathing them to people. It's just disgusting. And I'm sure that it is like that in other places, but it's particularly bad.
They got to call Florida already. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. Trump has almost a 350,000 vote lead and 93% of the
He's
voters.
Also, well, Georgia also.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, listen, all that matters is the Atlanta metro area is what is going to decide Georgia. That's what it's going to come down to. And Trump has now closed within 3 points in Ohio with 59% of the vote. And again, Columbus and Southwest Ohio is ultimately going to determine whether Trump flips it or keeps it, or if Biden flips it. And obviously,
on a positive note, if Trump wins, there's a lot of annoying celebrities that said they're leaving, right?
Here's how I look at it. There's basically the silver linings you want to look at, regardless of what ultimately happens with the election. Here's what I would say. To me, in my opinion, if Biden wins, a lot of the centrists who are in the way of progress on the Democratic side right now are going to go back to sleep. It gives the progressives an opportunity to continue to fortify their coalitions and relationships, build it up, build it strong, and hopefully continue to pick off those seats. And one thing I will say is, over the course of the last debate, the one thing I found very interesting with Biden was that he was very much he had the sunrise movement in his ear, because when he talked about the environment, he really was saying the things that needed to be said. He didn't say Green New Deal, but he did say enough that got me to think, all right, there's no question that if he gets in, he could possibly be moved in the direction that needs to be moved in on the environment, whereas Trump does not care. And the reason why, above all other reasons, that we voted for Joe is because Trump's indifference to the environment is just simply it's unforgivable. The planet is on fire.
And that Joe is running to stop taking fossil fuel money or supporting the military industrial complex. It's not like, he's all pro environment, but it seems like at least a mild hitting of a pause button and at least get us back into the Paris Climate Agreement. And that would obviously be huge if that were to happen. But it's not compared to where we are, but that's not enough. It's not anywhere near enough. The whole infrastructure, state of Florida alone, we have a problem with Florida Power and Light. That is a significant issue. We have an energy monopoly in the state that buys both sides of the aisle. Debbie Wasserman Schultz at the congressional level and many others. There's a reason why we don't have high-speed rail, which would significantly reduce our carbon footprint. Forget that we don't even have a high-speed rail that goes from Miami to Orlando. We need a high-speed rail that goes from Miami to Tallahassee. Yeah, and the idea we don't have it is just nuts. Well, but I still think it's funny that we have a president that's creating a space force when we can't even get the bright line from Palm Beach to Orlando. Did you see why he created the Space Force? Because apparently there is an asteroid worth $10 quadrillion floating around somewhere in the Milky Way, and we got to get our hands on that baby. We totally have to get our hands on the whole Milky Way. It tastes great. It looks great. It's totally worth a lot of money. So if we can convert that into something really tremendous, believe me when I tell you, oh, no. I totally told you I was coming here today. I wanted to let everybody know I had to make sure that before I head back to the White House, that I stopped here at this day, because this lady's really incredible. She's not talking as badly about me as other people are talking right now. I'm not a hater. Well, you're totally, not a hater. But you're totally not voting for me, and I don't appreciate that. At least you're not saying terrible things. She could be saying really, really terrible things about me, but she's not doing it. So have you seen my numbers? They're really incredible. I'm totally winning Florida, and that's going to make all the difference. Right? Not so sure. Well, you never know. I mean, obviously, right? Oh, you see that? Look, all that red. It is very red. Really red, really incredible. And that is only the beginning. Texas, totally getting back to red. We got to get Ohio and Pennsylvania. Hold on, we're totally going to turn it all red. They underestimated me again. They totally underestimated me again. They didn't think I had a chance, but I totally have a really, really incredible chance. And Joe, Sleepy Joe, he's got to go away. He totally wasn't up to the task. And that's exactly why I'm winning right now. He definitely didn't belong. But Crazy Bernie, I would have been much more concerned about him because he talks like I do. He tells people what they want to hear.
Only difference is he actually would give them stuff. I can't give them anything because I don't really believe in anything. I just believe in winning. Winning, we're totally winning, and we're going to keep winning. Look at that map. It's getting more red. Unbelievable. Totally incredible. See you later.
Oh my God.
And that was the president of the United States. For how much longer, we'll know, hopefully in a couple hours, if at all possible.
I liked what I did in 16. In 16, I'm pretty sure I took an Ambien. I went to bed early and woke up and then found out who the president was, because I feel like just the waiting and the not knowing, and there's nothing that you can do at this point. And it makes me, I get anxiety about this. Like, I don't like it. It's sometimes like watching basketball. I get like, I just want to know who wins.
What I also worry about is,
look at this.
What is going to happen? Yeah, seriously. Tim Kaine on the screen looks like he's in some type of army getup. You know,
it's reminding me of Michael Dukakis in The Tank.
Well, again, what I
Bad
think
move.
ultimately ends up happening here is, especially if a lot of the congressional races do not break for the Democrats, that I think even more than Biden winning is what is going to set off a firestorm within the party, because they're going to see a guy who didn't do anything to help those down ballot candidates. They completely suffered because of the fact that you had it. This whole election was all about anti-Trump. It wasn't about anything.
No.
And that's what kills us.
No substance.
Come on, man. We're running for the soul of the nation. What the hell is that?
That doesn't mean anything. I can't with these people.
Can't run for Medicare. And again, Biden got all of Wall Street, and I mean all of Wall Street behind him. That's where it begins. That's where it ends. I don't want to hear anything about anything else. Corporate special interest money. I will debate you. I will have a conversation with you about ideology, issues specific, anything. One of the reasons why Medicare for All does not catch fire in this country is because Planned Parenthood works diligently against it. Yes, that's right. Planned Parenthood works against Medicare for All. And why is that? Because they're a special interest group that benefits from our for-profit healthcare system. Until we recognize that the for-profit middleman must go away, we are not against doctors making whatever money they are capable of making in a free market capitalist system.
They're going to call Florida any minute now. They have to call Florida any minute now.
Again, there is no point to having a for-profit middleman at all. There is no defense of it. You cannot sell me on it because they don't increase healthcare outcomes. No justification for it.
You know what's funny when they talk about that, people will lose their health insurance? My answer is yes. We want people to not have health insurance.
What is the point of it?
We don't need health insurance. We need health care. If we had health care, we wouldn't need health insurance. So when people say people are going to lose their health insurance, yeah, good. You don't need it. What if you just could go to the doctor and get medicine and just get what you need when you're sick? What if you could just do that without having to fill out a whole bunch of forms and jump through hoops and switch doctors? And by the way, that whole thing about people having to wait. Yeah, you know what? I've waited here because of how it is with doctors and how many people they have to stack in their waiting rooms at one time because of how they're dealing with managed care. And so you end up having 4 people for the same appointment, and we're all.
The only thing that matters is if you ask anybody, and I mean anybody who's lived or visited, when Trump ran for president in 2016, he talked about an incident when he was on, I want to say like the Jimmy Fallon show. And he talked about how a friend of his had to go into the emergency room when they were in Scotland, and it didn't cost anything. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Obviously, Trump is just devoid of really caring about anything, but he did say it. And that's why people hate Trump, because, again,
looks like John Hickenlooper
is going to. So one Senate seat is going to flip in the. So there is a net gain of 1 for the Democrats.
Hickenlooper.
Yeah. Gotta love that. Gotta love that breakfast cereal, baby, as Kyle Kulinski likes to say.
Hickenlooper's flipping Colorado.
So there you go. That is important.
A Senate seat from Hickenlooper.
Yeah.
Senator Hickenlooper.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we could be in a situation where Trump wins and the Democrats win the Senate. That is absolutely possible because of the states that are in play. So that'll be interesting to see. Wow, Cory Gardner really took it on the chin. Yeah. Well, look, it's what it is.
Looks like Trump's winning Wisconsin.
Way too early.
All right.
Way too early.
That didn't look good.
No, well, like I said, way too early. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening.
Oh, yeah. Only 9% in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. Yeah, way too early in Wisconsin. Biden's going to, I don't make any guarantees. I'm not calling any states outright, but I do think that Biden will win Wisconsin. I think that that's a pretty, of all the states in the Rust Belt in the Midwest, upper Midwest, that's your best bet for a blue flip is Wisconsin.
And again, I could easily see a scenario where Biden wins the popular vote and Trump wins.
I think that that's most likely going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
You know, right now,
Biden's going to win the popular vote and Trump. And then you will see everybody out now really pushing to get rid of the Electoral College.
Yep.
This could very well be the end of the Electoral College today, though.
It could.
Because if enough people are just so over this,
if you're not willing,
if
you're not willing to modify the Electoral College, which is really what needs to happen.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to shift it in some capacity that is more in line with where the popular vote is, then it's not going to, people are not going to stand for it anymore. No. They're just not 2 elections in a row.
So I do think exactly.
Candidate.
Yeah. He's just way too polarizing and way too disliked for us to be able to keep the Electoral College is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's definitely it's very likely.
So many new people are going to get
scenario.
behind it. You're going to motivate so many people now.
Yeah.
I mean, national popular vote has been a big movement anyway. And as somebody who's in the League of Women Voters, that is one of their issues. They do support the national popular vote. So that's something that I'm just always getting updates on.
Yeah.
And they are going to see a surge in people wanting to participate in that and push that and promote that. So I think that this is going to really change that.
Yeah, there's, again, still way too early to make any type of calls or any type of assumptions, but there's no question that a lot of things, I think, going forward are going to change because people are simply tired of the same old, and that has got to give. Trump continues to close in on Biden in Pennsylvania. That is not a surprise. That's now at 15 points. Again, it really just depends on how much of the vote in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Scranton also, Lackawanna County, I believe, yeah, see, that's not good. That number right there is not good. So Biden, Luzerne,
right, it depends on the areas where it's happening.
It does. And so, Jordan Cheriton, who is a friend of the show, he was on the ground there and he made it very clear, and again, still way too early, but he really thinks Trump is in good shape in Pennsylvania. So we'll ultimately see what ends up happening there.
Does it keep up? Yeah, it keeps updating.
Go back, please.
Go back to what?
Main screen.
What difference does it make? Stop sharing, you mean?
It looks like Jersey's going to legalize weed. Hey, Mike, how about that, baby? Now you can do it without even getting in trouble.
He didn't care about that. Nobody cares about that. Nobody gets in trouble that's like
legalizing weed at this point. No, but like you said, almost all amendments end up passing for whatever reason.
Because people vote yes, just like they vote for the first thing.
And
because people pick number A.
Exactly. And Jen's name is first on the ballot, so a lot of people ended up voting for her because her name was first on the ballot.
First on the ballot is a good position to be in.
It is a good position to be in. That's why I think they say almost 60% of the time people call heads when it's heads or tails. Don't know why, but again, number one is often what people end up just kind of going for. So like I said, not that that's a bad thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see what ultimately ends up happening going forward. But like I said, the two silver linings that I look at, if Trump does somehow pull this off, and especially if the Democrats do end up losing a considerable amount of House seats, that is going to be a repudiation against neoliberalism. And a lot of people are just not going to stand for it because a lot of candidates who really needed Biden to be a standard bearer for the party and isn't, especially as the shifts continue to happen, whereas Trump is an out and out standard bearer of the Republican Party as it stands today. And a lot of candidates ran on Trumpism, if you will, and they end up losing. That's going to hurt a lot. Now, on the other hand, if Biden does end up winning, a lot of the neoliberal centrists will go away, and that will open up the door, so to speak, for progressives to come in. And that, to me, is very important. So that's really what we're looking at in terms of how we can ultimately end up making a difference going forward. Still way too early. Again, there's a lot that could happen. Whether it happens tonight, whether it happens over the course of a few days or even a few weeks, God forbid. But the fact that the election is close right now, it'll be very interesting to see where it ultimately ends up breaking. What do you think?
I've been saying all along, it wouldn't surprise me either way. Like at this point, nothing would surprise me.
No.
And it wouldn't. Like, you could say, oh, it's going to be Biden in a landslide. I'd be like, all right. Oh, it could be Trump in a landslide. All right.
It could be.
To me, I feel like it doesn't matter to me either way, from the standpoint of it doesn't change what we still need to be doing going forward. It doesn't change what we're trying to accomplish. And does it make our battle moderately less, overwhelming to say, oh, we're fighting a neolib instead of a fascist? I suppose. But it doesn't change what we're doing. So to me, in a lot of ways, it doesn't really matter, because we're still going to be doing what we're doing. I'm still going to be pushing for Medicare for all. I'm still going to be supporting Green New Deal. I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing. So I don't really that's part of why it's not that I don't care.
No.
But it doesn't change what we're going to be doing.
No.
It doesn't change how we,
and anything that we can control at the local level is really what it's all about. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that regardless of who wins, you can only control what is going on at the local level more than anything else. That in itself is really what it's all about. If you think that your one vote for Trump or Biden has anywhere near the impact that your one vote for a city commission race, it's probably like 100 to 1 or something along those lines.
What I know is that I'm gaining potentially 1, 2, 3, potentially 3 new allies in city commission seats,
which is big,
which is a big deal.
And that's how you begin to build. It takes time.
We need those allies for us to be able to promote what we're doing. So
Debbie has her establishment that she's had in place for 30 effing years.
And most of those people that sit on the commission in our local establishment are never going to cross her.
No.
Even who knows who they vote for, but they're never going to do anything.
I am not going to name the city commission seat. I'm not even going to name the town, but all 3 candidates running for that city commission seat, and one of them is firmly backed by the establishment, said, and I quote, I have the endorsement of 2 congressional representatives in the Democratic Party here. I would never seek Debbie Wasserman Schultz's endorsement, and I voted for you gleefully in the election.
So one of the city commissions in our district has 3 different candidates that are running for it, and all 3 would be favorable to us.
Agreed, 100%.
So so we have a few good wins as a movement.
And not only that, but it's in a town that Debbie tends to do pretty well in.
Yes.
So that's, again, another, slowly chipping away at that wall.
Right. I am curious what's going on out in Weston. Can somebody find out what's going on out in Weston?
Yes. Does anybody know what's going on in the Weston City Commission race? We'll put that in here right now. Somebody can look that up.
And
Weston
and I really
City.
Yeah, and let's see if we can get Plantation up here too.
Yes, and everybody who is watching right now, remember, hit the like button.
Yes, everybody, and
comment.
Subscribe on YouTube. For all of a lot of the people out there that are my friends or family, a lot of them probably aren't even sure how they're watching this. They just are.
Move that for a second.
They just are. They don't know how they're watching it, but they are. But for you people, we need you to subscribe on YouTube. That means you have to go into the YouTube. I'm talking to my mom. You have to go into YouTube. Or she might not even be watching, but or Susie or whichever of my people that would be watching this and don't understand what it is I'm saying you need to do. You need to go into YouTube and subscribe to Generational Change on YouTube.
Yes, very important. And again, that's how we build up the subscriber numbers. What do you guys think? Anybody who's out there watching, we've got 40 people watching right now, only 20 likes. We got to hit that like button so we get more viewers up.
Come on, people.
But we're very curious to know what you guys think of what the map looks like right now, because most people, again, the fact that they were talking about a Biden landslide, but if
it goes to show their complete lack of of touch with reality.
I was speaking with my aunt who lives in New York, and she is a Republican, and for her, and I agree.
Is that your mom's sister?
Yes. The hatred for the DC establishment Beltway bubble is greater than the hatred for Trump, even if people don't say it publicly.
Yeah.
I also have a friend who voted for Trump and cannot share that with their mother, because if they did, they would be disowned. That's how serious this is for some people. And it's always on the left. Like, the hatred for Trump is so great that they cannot discuss their vote. And that is part of the reason why you're seeing the map filling in the way that it is. This is not a map of a guy who's up by 12 points in the polls. This is a map of polls that were inaccurate because people were not willing to say that they were supporting Trump. That's the truth.
Well, and I do think it comes back to the enthusiasm factor, because you're polling people as they're sitting at home in their living room and you're asking them, who do you prefer, Biden or Trump? And they're willing to say Biden. They're willing to say Biden, but that doesn't mean they're going to be motivated to actually vote for Biden.
That is true.
And that, to me, is a very big distinction. Who you might prefer is not the same thing as who you're actually motivated enough to vote for.
And I got to tell you, let's
Hi, Chuck. Shout out to Chuck Simon, new subscriber. I appreciate it. Saw me on the combo couch.
Chuck, please subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well if you can. That would be awesome. And make sure to hit the like button on this video.
Yeah,
and
we're friends with Pasta and Fee over here.
Yes. And so for me, like I said, the people that I feel bad for right now, more than anybody else, are any of our progressive brothers and sisters running in congressional races, especially right now around the country, who may very well suffer for Joe Biden being the head of the ticket and not being able to really excite the base in the way that it really needed to be excited in order to win.
Can you imagine if Bernie was the candidate?
Yeah.
What would have happened in West Virginia?
Exactly. There's no way they would have called it for Capito before a single vote was counted. I mean, Paula Jean is such a doll, and we love her so much.
Yes, we do. We love Paula Jean.
And she would represent that state infinitely better. There are countless people who have suggested that if Bernie was on the ticket, West Virginia would have been in play.
I also would be curious what would be going on in Kentucky if it were Charles Booker and not Amy McGrath.
I agree 1,000%. And above everything else, and again, that's why, we put out the tweet about Charles Booker earlier. And why? Because if Charles Booker was running against Mitch McConnell, you know what would have likely happened? We would have gotten a stimulus deal. We would have gotten something there because Booker, who is already an elected official in the state and is massively popular, look, will he likely run for Senate again against Rand Paul? Yeah, probably. But Rand Paul is nowhere near the person and the vile human being that Mitch McConnell is.
It's not as much. That's not as much of a win for humanity.
There would have been such a windfall in Booker's favor, and it definitely would have put him in play. And I think because at that point, McConnell would have felt that his seat may have been slipping away from him. He would have done a good stimulus deal to make it seem like he's doing good work to help people.
I don't know about that, but I think that Charles Booker definitely would have kept him on his feet.
But the funny thing is, knowing Mitch McConnell, he doesn't give a damn about anybody.
No,
he really doesn't. He is so much worse than Trump. I just wish people could see that. I think a lot of people do.
He's horrible.
He's just
bad.
He's as bad as it gets. He really is.
Don't do that. You don't do it because it also looks like you're making fun of people with a disability when you do that. But that's what it looks like.
He sounds like Jimmy Stewart, a bad version of Jimmy Stewart.
But you sound like you're making fun of somebody with Parkinson's.
I just hate Mitch McConnell.
I know. Well,
really bad. I think we all do.
He's pretty loathsome.
No, he's loathsome is just one way of saying it. He's vile.
It updates in 10 seconds.
Yes.
It's like a countdown for when it updates.
Yeah. I mean, again, everything is moving along kind of the same way that it did in 2016 in a lot of ways. What is very interesting, and I don't know if it's going to hold, and maybe this is another thing that was overlooked by the pollsters this time. The state that is not moving in the direction that the Democrats really need right now is Virginia. The idea that Virginia is even in play is probably something that they did not anticipate. Now, the reason that's a big deal is this reason. In 2016, Virginia was very close, and remember, Tim Kaine was the sitting senator of the state of Virginia. The idea that this race is a lot closer right now in Virginia is so significant that if it somehow were to flip red, then Trump actually wouldn't need Ohio. That's scary. That is even a question right now that could even be in play on the map. But like I said, there is no telling how this is ultimately going to break. Trump has almost a 400,000 vote lead in Florida with 93% reporting. This is the type of stuff that drives people nuts when they look at the mainstream media. That is the type of thing that we look at and we say, you're not being honest.
Like, I wondered, are they calling it on Fox? Maybe they're calling it on Fox.
Even if they call it on Fox, it doesn't matter because it's not going to be the national news that's going to say it. The Associated Press is technically the standard bearer that must call the state. And so if the Associated Press has yet to say that Florida goes for Trump, But it's, again, what are you waiting for? You're basically suggesting that almost all the votes are now all of a sudden going to flip in the other direction and go to Biden. That's like I said, we voted for Biden. We don't want Trump to win again. But at the same time,
we need
you
to be
have
reality.
to live in reality. And people don't want to do that.
No.
And it only feeds into Trump's base. And that's how, when we were at the polls in Hollywood the other day, how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs were some of those Trump supporters that you were talking to? One of them suggested that California was in play. It's like, okay, I understand you love this guy, but could you dumb it down just a little bit, just to a level that's a little bit palatable and normal? They can't do that. And again, when you're that committed to the person that you believe in, that you think is this, I don't know, what I guess they think of him as a hero, or, you know, which they shouldn't. You know, these are elected officials. These are people supposed to serve you. And when we see people cheering Nancy Pelosi, and it's like, what are you cheering for?
It's just not good.
This person wouldn't give you, you know, a bucket of water to save your life if you were on fire.
No, most likely not.
We feed them. We give them. It's like the idea that you could even listen to something like that. But again, this is the result of decades of neoliberalism. The Democratic Party is now the party of the Wall Street suburbs. And that is a very hard thing to unwind. We don't, as you like to say, there's no point in trying to have a third party in this country when you don't even have two. Right now we have one corporate party with a red jacket and a blue jacket.
Right. Well, we have no labor party.
And that's what has to change. The unifying message going forward has to be labor. That is what is going to unify a lot of this country. And it has to cross many different lines. A lot of people are divided right now. A lot of people think that if you support Trump, you're a racist, bigot, sexist, all that stuff. Does what amount to maybe 60 million people, you think they're all racist, bigots, and hooligans?
But yet they still haven't learned from that deplorable's method of wooing people is just not effective. It's just not effective.
It's not.
It's elitist, and it comes off elitist. And it just, sometimes I'm in places with normal, regular people, and I feel like I hear what a typical suburban, neoliberal, educated, like very elitist, very comfortable person. And I hear that, and it is so cringy to me now. And when I hear people talk, it's just, I really feel like they sound entitled. These people sound entitled.
Well, they do.
And when they talk down about somebody because they don't agree with you, and you're just so far superior to them that, you know, they must be deplorable if they don't agree with you. It's just, I think that just really pushes people away. It really does.
And you cannot get to the point where you think you can't even talk to your own family because you have, and again, some people have their reasons for supporting Trump. They feel that he may be better on the economy for one reason or another. Okay, fine. Most people vote with their wallets, and that's the way it is. I think Trump's rhetoric is extremely divisive, but for him, he has no ideology. He just wants to win. That's all that matters to him. But the enthusiasm for him is so crazy. And I often wonder if it's so much about their enthusiasm for Trump as it is that they absolutely unequivocally cannot stand the DC bubble establishment. I think that there is a much larger portion of this country who is tired of their policy and being judged for their way of life by the Beltway. And that has been going on for a long time. I'm not saying that this is a map that's going to look like 72 or even 84. It's not.
How do I get like local results? I want to know what's going on with Weston, and I want to know what's going on. Like, where am I finding that stuff?
Just look up Weston City Commission. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but I don't know that that'll be like a live
That's
thing.
The best option that you could find right now. So again, there is no question that we are in a very interesting time. And I am not one to question whether anybody's decisions are based solely on, look, are there bigots that are voting for Trump? Absolutely. But with that said,
there's bigots voting for Joe.
That's true. And we did go to Trump's rally last year in Sunrise. And what did we discover when we were at that rally?
That it was more diverse than people realized.
Yeah.
It really was. It was very diverse. It was a very small percentage of that group were the people that you would anticipate would be there. It was not a lot of hillbilly Dixie flag waving.
And we saw that.
It wasn't like that.
Don't kid yourself. We did see the Dixie flag waving, redneck type people. They were absolutely there. No question about it. But if they made up I'm not even going to say 10% of the voting block that was there, but let's say 5 to 7% of the people were there. They are those people that you see on TV that are threatening, that they are angry, and that they will come after you. They tried to run a bus off the road, the Biden bus off the road in Texas the other day. Yeah, we are a radicalized country. If you haven't noticed, we have no health care. We have a pandemic that is not being dealt with properly. We have no UBI. Our jobs are going away. This is not, again, is Trump responsible? Yes, but there are so many layers to it. When are you going to point the finger at Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, who really have as much to do with this as anybody? They really do. But it's so easy to just go and blame Trump. The donor class does not care. Sun Sentinel or Channel 10 News, Mark just said that's the best place to go.
Okay.
Mike just asked, why do you think the enthusiasm for Trump is so high compared to a typical politician support? Well, I think Trump definitely says the things that people want to hear a lot of the time. But I also think that everyone knows that even if Trump is playing in their sandbox and doing the policies that they want, the truth is that Trump is still an outsider.
Because he's entertaining as hell.
He is.
He is a salesman, and he is a showman, and he is leading his own circus.
He's a master marketeer. It is his one true skill.
Yeah.
And in politics, that's a hell of a skill to have.
It is.
And he's got it as well as anybody. And unlike Bernie Sanders, Trump is not afraid to say anything and go after anybody. And people love that about him. They love that he shoots from the hip and he's a total freaking cowboy who does not care. And that to me is why is that funny?
Because that's probably me.
Oh, I said that Jen would get 1,000 votes in a write-in, and that is so scary.
We don't know that they're all me.
There's no.
Well, they could have wrote other people. I mean, I've written in Mickey Mouse for things before.
Yes, but the odds that okay. So if you are one of the 1,000 people out there that wrote Jen Perlman in for Congress, thank you very much.
I voted for Carla, but thank you for voting for me. My vote was about as effective as yours.
Again, it's a protest vote. It's not going anywhere. Debbie was going to win her seat no matter what.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
So it is what it is. But that's really, really funny.
I know.
We're very happy for Howard Pryor. Great guy winning the state attorney's race. We really need the right type of people for criminal justice reform coming in. Anyway, the last point.
That'll really upset them.
No, but that's not surprising.
No, but
that's not
it'll upset them.
Linda's a nice lady.
I know it'll upset them.
But it's yes.
Yay, Marie Woodson.
Yeah, Marie.
Yay, Marie Woodson. Marie Woodson is state representative for District 101. And this is someone, look, this is the complete.
She did not need to be out there.
No, this is the complete opposite of Frederica Wilson. So here's Marie Woodson, who safely could have really not done anything between her primary and now, and she would have won that seat. And yet Marie Woodson has been out at every polling place every single day of voting and busting her ass for every single vote. That is a public servant.
Correct.
And that is.
And she was my neighbor. And I
wouldn't have even faulted her for working a little less. Just a little less.
Yeah.
Because she really, she did not let up from the primary. And she really had a hard time in the primary in terms of there were a couple people running against her that were viable and strong. It wasn't easy for her. And so she could have let up and she didn't. And she was still working the polls every day. Very cool.
Yeah.
Kudos to George Navarini for running a nice race against Robin Bartleman.
And the reason why we like
George,
and the reason we like George is he is very pro-environment.
Yes.
And we need more GOPers who are going to say, I'm not just going to go along with what the McConnells of the world are doing. I care about the environment, true conservatism. And when you think about a state like Florida, up until the pandemic, DeSantis was actually doing a very good job on the environment. And why? Because this state is dependent on the tourism industry. You cannot have a state that is overrun by the sugar industry or FP&L that are just completely pillaging the environment.
There are old school Republicans.
They exist, and George is old school.
He is. George is old school Republican. He's conservative fiscally. He's pretty libertarian.
He's not a Trump. He is not a Trumper by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he is not.
No.
But he's a decent guy. And this is somebody I met at a protest against drilling in the Everglades. And I started going to Republican Club meetings to meet allies, because if we can all agree that we don't want to screw up the Everglades, then let's all work together on that. I don't necessarily care what you think about abortion if we're working to fix the Everglades. I'll deal with the abortion people when I'm working on that issue. We get so fixated on our teams that we don't get together on the issues where we can actually do something, which is the reason that they keep us fighting in our little teams. So that's that.
Yeah, the division is absolute lunacy. I think people need to really start recognizing how pointless it is. You're not going to get anywhere.
No.
If let's go with the ultimate. Let's take somebody like Tucker Carlson, who is a massive anti-immigration thumper, and that really drives people nuts. They call him a white supremacist. They call him Lindsey Graham retains the Senate seat in South Carolina. That's not a surprise. Unfortunately, we definitely wanted Jamie Harrison to win, but South Carolina is super red. Tamara James, our good friend who we had on the podcast,
James.
She is doing great. She is leading the way.
Let's just be clear that how Dania Beach does their city commission is the top 3 people are commissioners, and the person with the most votes becomes the mayor. So you want to be in the top 3. And our friend Tamara James is
looks like
number
she is going to be the next mayor of Dania Beach, and that is great.
Yes,
and
it is.
She's really a top level person who we
is.
love very much, and just really gives a damn about her community, unlike a lot of other people. It is what it is. It looks like Joy Cooper is going to retain her seat, but that's all about the Democratic Party machine. Joy Cooper is very tight with Wasserman Schultz, and the party machine definitely plays a role. Those aren't our
district. So
hang on. I'm just looking at this. Wow, you know what? Well, it does look like Bill Harris and Joyce Davis are running neck and neck for the third and final seat in the city commission race in Dania Beach. We met Joyce the other day. I thought she was a lovely lady. Bill Harris, unfortunately, is somebody who is very much involved with the land developers in Dania Beach. Dania Beach, as much as any community in this congressional district, in South Broward in particular, suffers from overdevelopment in the worst possible ways, especially for working class people. And he has definitely had his share of attachments to those people. Tamara is fiercely against it, to her credit, and we need a lot more of that. So anyway, getting back to my point about Tucker Carlson, the one thing I will say about Tucker is that he is vehemently anti-war. You have to give credit where credit is due, where one of the biggest issues that we're facing right now politically is what is going to happen if Biden is our next president. What I fear more than anything else, if you do not have the ratings bonanza that is Donald J. Trump, you're going to have to try to do something else, and the mainstream media absolutely will, in order to try to maintain some semblance of reasonable ratings. And what gets ratings, folks? War does. And I have no doubt that trying to convince Joe Biden to go to war in the Middle East or in, East Asia is not going to be hard to get him to do. He's been saber rattling like crazy, and Mayor Pete has been following him right behind. He wants to be on that Secretary of something's the idea is obviously Mayor Pete will absolutely be in Biden's cabinet if he were to win. So with that in mind, like I said, you have to be able to find common ground where you can find common ground. The way I see it, if you cannot agree with somebody on abortion, on gun rights, on LGBT rights, some people you're not going to get to on certain issues. So how about find an issue that you can all agree on? Can everybody agree that we do not need for-profit middlemen in between you and your doctor when it comes to your health care? I would imagine that almost everybody would agree with that. Would you agree that you don't need contaminated drinking water? Most people would say, yes, I'd like my water to be clean.
Looks like Southwest Ranches is going to be completely upended with all new people.
Well, that'll be interesting.
It'll be very interesting.
And so with that in mind, you have to recognize the importance of where you can meet that common ground. Would you agree?
Yay,
that
Christine
it is,
Giudicus.
would you admit,
Sorry.
Would you agree that it is infinitely more important to be able to have people getting paid a living wage than to be on welfare?
Yes, of course.
Now, most people would say, yes, absolutely. I would rather pay somebody, or frankly, I'd rather overpay somebody than to not have them getting paid to do any work at all.
This actually is looking very promising. It looks like our friend Peggy Brown is ahead in Weston.
With how much of the vote is in? She's got a decent lead, about almost 1,500 votes.
I don't know. Participating precincts reporting 13 of 13.
You know, if Peggy doesn't win, you think she'll blame Jim Norton for taking the votes away from her for Richard Stark? I'm just saying.
I don't think so.
What we do know is that there was a lot of enthusiasm for, okay.
Very surprising.
We're not going to say anything yet.
No,
Don't say anything
but either way, to be third.
Yeah.
That's pretty pathetic.
Wow, that's a margin she can't make up.
I don't even know who that guy is. That's so interesting. I only know those two.
How about if Dahlia gets
I don't even
more
know.
Votes? Good for her.
You know what? I'm going to have her on.
Okay. We're not going to mention any names right now, but it's just something on the personal. Well, they won't know. They won't know, but that's all right. So anyway, not a total loss. There's definitely some very good silver linings here, linings tonight. For us, you know, thankfully. And we definitely did what we could for some local candidates who were running for a race.
Yes, we did.
But we will say this. It's still too early to make a determination, but I will say this. If the Debbie Wasserman Schultz backed candidate in Weston doesn't win her race, that's a very, very
not
bad
just
sign.
Two potential people in Weston that are not Debbie's people that are going to be.
Debbie's endorsement doesn't ring the way that it used to.
And so note to people that post pictures of themselves with people that are unpopular, like I said, on the day that
it might actually end up hurting you in the long run.
It might hurt you in the long run. I said it the other day. I said, look what happened to Andrew Gillum. And of course, everybody comes on, oh, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. You know what? It might not have only been that. But when you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. And for candidates that are sucking up to establishment people, not a good look. And so, for me, when I see people like that lose, I kind of want to do the happy dance.
Yeah, but you're not going to.
Well, no, I'm going to do the happy dance, but no one will ever really know why.
Well, that's also because there was a personal incident that happened along the way that kind of was from a karmic standpoint, was really, really not good. As the president says,
yay, minimum wage. Yay,
so we're going to get minimum wage.
And we're getting a jungle primary.
We're getting jungle primaries.
Wait, do we? If it's only at 59.61,
it's got to be, I think it's 60%.
So we might not.
Go figure, because it'll be so close. And you know how much the party establishments, both sides, will do everything in their power not to let that thing cross 60.
They do not want that thing.
So they'll be tossing ballots out. And now you know Donald Trump is winning the state of Florida. But again, whether they actually going to call it,
nobody is understanding how you got from that to that. That's like a crazy link.
Well, because if you start tossing ballots, that means that Biden can't make up the difference.
Apparently, everybody, of course, wanted to give the veterans' wives benefits.
Totally understood.
And the ballot charter, the Broward questions are good. They were fine. So I'm happy that those passed. Those were fine. And I have to scroll through and look at.
So like I said, overall, things ultimately ended up breaking pretty well, I think. And
it looks like Mayor Greg Ross is keeping his seat in Cooper City.
Good friend, good ally.
Yay, Mayor Greg. He's a decent guy. You know what? Here's the thing I will point out about this gentleman is, to this day, I've met him several times. This is Mayor Greg Ross of Cooper City. And he's always been extremely nice to me, very professional, very just well-tempered. And yet I don't know what his party affiliation is, and I don't care. And I appreciate so much about him that I don't know the answer to that question. That's how it's supposed to be. And that to me speaks a lot about him, that he doesn't obviously get involved in partisan nonsense.
Well, as you were saying before, who was the greatest person in broadcast news when it came to the election night? And it was always Tim Russert.
Tim
Russert is a true liberal Democrat from Buffalo, New York, and you would never know it by watching him on TV, because he gave it to both sides equally at all times. He never let you know. He was from the Walter Cronkite class of news, and that is what we need. We need that more than anything. You've got everyone on these national networks bashing Trump left and right, and yet this map keeps on filling in a way that suggests, and Trump has taken the lead in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so Jacqueline Guzman is definitely our new commissioner, Group D in Sunrise.
She's awesome.
Congratulations to Jacqueline. She
and her friends were definitely allies. I definitely supported them.
They were very good to us.
And the thing that was so amazing about her was that when we were doing early voting all the way back in August, she was grinding it out. She
Yes.
was there every day handing out her
day.
stuff.
I will say that about Jacqueline. I mean, definitely I'm normally skeptical when I see police pack endorsements. But I will say this, she walked the walk. She did. She was out there every single day, meeting people, campaigning, even back in August.
Yeah. There's no question that she put in the work.
And shout out to Ernst and Megan DeMornay, because they busted ass and worked really hard and reached out and really built some bridges in our community. And we look very forward to working with them. In fact, we've talked about trying to bring Megan on. I know she wants to be really involved, but I would very much like to involve her in our group. Yep. So we've made a lot of good connections, and a lot of the people that ran great races, I look forward to working with them.
Yeah, there's no question that we've got a lot of positives going forward. At least right now, it does look like that is the case.
That's just Broward.
That's Broward. Yeah, that's not surprising.
No.
So again, you can't rely on just one county to sort of win the day for you. But right now, the way this map is starting to shape up, once again, it is starting to look like Donald Trump is trending. Wow. Yeah.
But still better than,
Well, yes. But again,
then,
that's not. Yeah. I thought you had 1,500 write-in votes, which would have been crazy. Yeah. Jen's got a little bit of popularity here in the county, even when she's not even on the ballot. Interestingly enough, when we were looking at one of the.
Yeah.
Hey, Harrison, we'll get to that question in a second. When we were looking, when I was driving to one of the polling stations that Jen was volunteering at today, we saw a big sign of one of the city commission candidates, and right below it was her sign from August.
It never came down. That's all, because it wasn't important enough.
But that doesn't mean that they didn't think highly enough about you.
Of course.
To say, I really like that person. I really think that person's great, and I want to let everyone know that I still support her. So again, I think we're on to building something here in the county. I really do. I do. And it's going to take some time.
It is going to take time.
But I think people are yearning for change. They really are. And again, if you look at the electoral map right now, what it's really showing me, what I think it's saying more than anything else, is people are tired of this. They're tired of it. They are tired of being told you can't have something. They are being told that you can't have health care, that you can't have a better environment, that you can't have a living wage, that you can't have UBI, and you can't force a candidate to be great. They either are or they're not. Trump is a great candidate, whether you like it or not. Doesn't mean he's good person or stands for anything, but as a candidate, he's phenomenal. He really is. Joe Biden is not. And he really was not prepped to be in this situation. So that's exactly where we stand right now. And if you're looking at this electoral map.
Why are you yelling?
I'm trying to emphasize the importance of people knowing
you sound so angry to me.
I am angry. I'm angry because Bernie would have won. I almost feel tempted to have us put that out on social media.
But yeah, Bernie would be winning in a landslide right now. Bernie would be winning in a landslide right now.
Yeah, he would be.
And we know it. And here we are. And yet here we are wallowing in our mediocrity.
Yep.
Just suffocating in our complete mediocrity is exactly where we are.
And again, who is going to get the blame for this?
Can we believe this is this close? Like, not that it's close, but that we're actually in a time in history where that having basically a narcissistic psychopath with credible sexual assault allegations would be sitting in the White House, challenged by another person that we're all just barely trying to just get behind, to just get out of having a fascist regime. And this is where we are. And it's worthy enough of being, it's close enough to worthy discussion.
It is. And again, I don't think they're going to have as much juice as last time.
It looks like Biden got a couple of states here because something changed. Yeah, we're up at 94 now.
It looks like, I don't know if it was Rhode Island or Massachusetts that just came in. But again, if the electoral map
looks like Linda Anderson is going to beat Peter Hernandez.
Yeah, and that's good.
That's a big thing, guys.
We're definitely happy that Adam Gruber is going to beat Richard Blattner.
Adam Gruber is going to beat Richard Blattner. These are Hollywood City Commission seats, and Linda Anderson is going to beat the incumbent. It looks like.
And one of the reasons that Linda is going to beat the incumbent is because she had the backing of a very good friend of Jen's who helped out a great deal.
You're right, Harrison. Bernie or Yang would have won. Andrew Yang would have won.
Andrew Yang, right now with UBI and Bernie with Medicare for All, or both of them running on that same thing, that's it. That's the election.
Yeah. I thought that would have been a really good combo. But, everybody, of course, was so hell-bent on the vice presidential candidate being a woman. But I always thought that even Bernie and Yang would be a really good combination and would reach a lot of people.
If for whatever reason, that, again, it's still too early. We know what the trends are looking like right now. They're definitely leaning towards Trump. But the one thing I would say, if Trump wins, how much blame is Kamala Harris going to get for this? How much responsibility is going to fall on her shoulders for being the VP who didn't get a single vote in the primary and couldn't move the needle in one direction or the other?
But yet nobody will put the blame where it truly belongs.
Which is the fact that Bernie should have been the nominee. They coalesced against him entirely.
No, and I still say it goes beyond that. I say when you look at Kamala Harris, where does the blame lie for that?
Yeah.
That is a Clinton thing right there.
It is.
She is Hillary Clinton's Manchurian candidate that they wanted to have a long time ago. She sucked in the primary.
Correct.
She got taken out by Tulsi. And this was their way of slipping in their candidate. If there was NASCAR clothing on candidates, she is Team Clinton. Her and Buttigieg were Team Clinton. And so now here's this woman who it's all about just her identity, because that's all she's got. Her prosecutorial record is
when
abhorrent.
She did that interview with Nora O'Donnell the 1 week ago,
it
was like, oh my God. And they don't understand how this turns people off. Like it really does. If you think Elizabeth Warren tried this in the primary to do the whole dance about identity. It works for a very small niche,
and it pisses everyone off.
It does. And the truth hurts. I'm sorry, but people don't want to hear your pronouns.
You're getting so angry again.
But it's true.
I know, but people don't want to be yelled at.
If I'm yelling too much, let me know.
Tell us in the comments if you feel you need to be yelled at by people.
I am just saying, pronouns, there's nothing wrong with it, but you can't force people to live this identitarian life. It doesn't work. It actually makes you feel less like an individual. It makes you feel like almost like it's like a government control type of service.
So are these done then? Like if it says all precincts reporting,
then it's done.
It means it's done.
It's done. Yes.
Okay, so I'm feeling good about that. Oh, I'm feeling good.
Karma. I like Peter's enthusiasm. So Harrison, unfortunately, I don't know. The race that I'm going to be very curious to see in terms of the humanity forward candidates is obviously Jen's colleague from Humanity First, David Kim, out in LA against Jimmy Gomez. It's going to be a while before we see those kinds of results.
Yeah, the California, I don't know that I'm staying up for California.
Yeah, we probably won't. I don't think we're going to need to, because we all know that the West Coast is going for Biden.
I know, but we want to see what happens with Shahid.
We
want
do.
To see what happens.
And unfortunately, it's probably not going to be close. But it is what it is. There is a reckoning that is going to happen one way or the other after this election.
What's going on? Can somebody, I don't know, Sam, if you're still watching this, see what's going on in Ohio with my friend Nick Rubando?
Yeah.
Do you know he's running for Congress? Which district is he in Ohio?
Unfortunately, I think he's in a Trump stronghold.
He is. And I'm also curious how Adam Christensen is doing up in Gainesville.
And again, this is what pains me more than anything else. Had a candidate like Bernie would have campaigned for Adam Christensen, and there would have been no reason to stop him because it was a GOPer on the other side. But because Adam Christensen is the progressive and he does not take corporate money, there's no way Joe Biden was going to endorse him. That's the reality. Why don't we?
What seat is that? How can we find out?
Florida 3rd, FL3.
All right.
That's the truth. And it's yes, David Kim, Harrison. That's him. He's awesome. And I don't know if they have any results coming in at this point, but you would think that they would be in because Florida has basically been counted at this point. I don't know what more they're waiting for. This is the map has basically gone the way that you would expect.
Yeah.
He did have a pretty good showing, though, for a first-time candidate. I mean, that's a lot of votes.
Yeah, he did well.
I feel bad for him. I really do, because there's no telling what might have happened had there really been a no pun intended, a revolutionary type candidate at the head of the Democratic
right.
ticket.
And so our friend Adam Christensen did not lose against the Republican in that district. That was Florida's 3rd congressional district, which is a red seat. So that would have been a switch. And quite honestly, I'm impressed that he did as well as he did.
Absolutely. And here's another thing.
He got 166,000 votes.
And the fact that, with all due respect to Phil and I have a lot of respect for him, he's a former military man, you are not going to unseat a GOPer in Florida's 1st district. You can ask Bo of the 5th column. It's not happening.
It's not happening.
If you want to beat a GOPer, you have to run in a GOP primary. You are not going to convince hundreds of thousands of people to change their mind. It's not going to happen. Could you change 5,000 people? Yeah, maybe. In a competitive district. How does District 18 look? Let's see. Brian Mast has won with 90. I just want to see what the numbers are. Yeah, he won. He won going away. It wasn't even a race. I mean, it's what it is. There's something to be said for not having an ideology. And the Democratic Party right now at the head of the ticket has no ideology. So how do you expect to change anything in politics with no ideology?
Yeah, Debbie Merhoso Powell officially lost her seat. And it looks like
90. How close is it for Maria Alvarez Salazar? Yeah, she's going to win. So
and Donna Shalala lost her seat. So the Democrats have now lost 2 congressional seats down in South Florida. And
a seat that they invested a lot of money in to try to flip, they're going to lose that one as well.
After what, 2 years? How long has she been there?
Yeah, it's what it is. And of course, look, we met Cindy. We think she's great. And of course, she's running in a very red district that isn't going to flip. The good people are out there. They are. But recognizing that massive changes need to occur.
And it also has to happen in our state legislature as far as gerrymandering.
100%.
Because that's a big part of this problem. And also closed primaries. Because now if we had open primaries, Debbie would have been gone years ago. It wouldn't even be a discussion.
Now it'll be very interesting to see what ultimately happens with if we do actually get the primary, if we get the jungle primaries passed through. People want to change.
It looks like it is, unless it has to get 6. I mean, it has to.
What'll be interesting is if we do have jungle primaries, I wonder what that actually does for third-party opportunities, like Libertarian, Green, even the People's Party.
I'm not sure, but none of them wanted it. No. They all were against it. So you would think if it was something that would be good for third parties, that they would have supported it, but they didn't support it. Like that's something I noticed was that nobody supported it. Yeah, it looks like Adam lost. Yeah, he did. You know what? He did really well. He ran a hell of a race. He got a lot of votes. He did a really good job. He's definitely somebody that is good to partner with and work with in the future. He is very smart and motivated. And people who are commenting right now on Jen's social media feed, particularly on Twitter, because of the fact we put out a message that says Bernie would have won. He would have won. The idea that Trump is in the driver's seat right now shouldn't even be possible. We are in a pandemic, that he has failed at dealing with, completely failed at dealing with, and yet even if he doesn't win, the fact that it's even the fact that it's even a discussion is just. It really shows you, to me, what it highlights. You have
the entire Rust Belt trending red right now.
And you're going to. And the other thing is that it really speaks as to how pathetic the Democrats are in terms of getting any sort of support, because people realize that they don't really want the support. See, that's what I think. I think if they really wanted people's support, they'd put up the candidate that people support. If that's just common sense.
Here's what I would say to everybody who's watching right now.
First, like and subscribe on YouTube.
If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Very important question. What exactly was Joe Biden's signature issue? Did he have one?
That he wasn't Trump.
No.
He wasn't Trump.
How is running on the soul of the nation working for you right now?
The soul of the nation.
How's that working right now?
But what soul would that be? Would that be our sort of genocidal, imperialistic soul?
And here's what I would say to Biden and the Democratic Party and why they really can go stuff it right now. Even if Biden pulls this off, how many great down ballot candidates had to suffer because you have no ideology and could have had a real chance to win their races, but because you decided that it was more important to strictly play to Republican suburban voters, what did you think was going to happen? And yes, Biden could still theoretically win. There's no question that he could. But if this electoral map even closely
This one hasn't been updated the same. So right now, I have on the Associated Press, we have Biden at 131. Should probably pull up the Associated Press one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do this for a
But
second.
the only thing that matters, as you can see right now, is what's going on right here.
Hold on. Here, see if you can get that on here. Just type in Associated Press.
Okay.
And see.
Associated Press. Election results. Map. Let's see what the map looks like.
Interactive election results map.
That's got to be it.
That's Kentucky, though. No. I guess it doesn't matter.
I don't think so. So we'll see if it actually does come up.
But there, you could just go to this. This is.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So as you can see right now, this is what the map actually looks like. And, oh, wait. We did not. Yeah, we've got to.
Here. I'll do it.
I'll let the queen do it.
Yeah,
she seems to be doing a better job anyway.
I've got it going on.
Chrome tab and pull it up.
There we go.
Yeah, so
you're being awfully chipper for you. You're being a little chipper.
Because I'm just glad this is over.
I am too. I'm so glad this is over.
It's like the same way I felt after our primary was over, even though we didn't win. It was like, it's just a relief to get through it because it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of grind. You know, you really just want to be thankful for everybody who puts in the work, who understands what it takes to do this, because it's strenuous, it's hard.
It's hard work.
It really is.
And it shouldn't be. That's what's really annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, I look up Nick Rubando.
Yep.
Here, he'll put it in there.
I'm going to put it in the chat.
Rubando.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. I might be able to find it here. Let's see.
Rubando.
We can't deal with her. What was she was just scratching at the door. All right.
So here we are almost 2 hours in,
and
the map just continues. Oh, that's even more interesting because that kind of breaks it down by county.
Well, I'm trying to find something right now.
But do you guys see how red this country is? Do you see how red these counties are? I still love telling the story about the time that I went and visited the land of Lincoln. I went to Springfield, Illinois, and this was about a year ago. And I got to tell you, I was just driving on Interstate 55. It's like right out of a John Mellencamp song. Like you're literally driving through pink houses, if you will. And I remember distinctly driving past this one red barn home as I'm heading up towards Springfield from St. Louis. There's nothing there. It's just a wide open farm country. And I see this one red barn in the middle of nowhere. And it just kind of really stood out to me. And as I'm passing it in my rearview mirror, I noticed that there was a word etched into the side of the barn. And what was that word? It was Trump. I don't think people really still grasp how much this man means to so many people throughout the country. Nick did not win,
but he got 101,000 votes.
Yeah. I'm just glad he fought hard. And
he did. Great guy. You know, he was a really good guy.
Yeah.
And you know what? He didn't have the same kind of opposition because he was in a Republican district.
That's right.
He was the Democrat. So
that's right.
He didn't have to deal with like local Democratic haters like we do.
No. And again, we're just trying to give our country, our community, we're trying to give them something better. We all deserve better. We do. And I think if this map ultimately breaks the way it looks like it's breaking right now, maybe the change comes. I don't know.
Adrian Bell didn't win.
I know. And look, unfortunately, like I said, a lot of this is just how's Donna doing?
I'm trying to remember which.
She's 31.
Oh, okay.
All the way. Yeah. A lot of congressional districts in Texas, guys.
Yeah. No.
What? No, hold on.
Right here.
What
do you mean?
It's competitive.
You think that's competitive? That's not competitive.
Well, at this point, I mean, it depends.
71% reporting.
Well, it all depends on where the votes are coming from. But again, like I said, it hurts me to no end because you don't have the right candidate on the ballot right now that could have been exciting the down ballot races. That's why candidates, the dynamic candidates that come along every so often, when you have a guy like Trump, when you have a guy like Obama, when you have a guy like Clinton,
See,
when you
and
have a
now
guy like
that
Reagan,
could have been Jessica Cisneros, if not for people like Nancy Pelosi endorsing a pro-life Democrat.
Correct.
Against a progressive woman.
Yeah. And that's what hurts.
Progressive woman of color, if I wanted to drop the identity card, which I don't normally like to do.
And that in itself has as much to do, with these issues that exist. This just feels so much different than it did 4 years ago, because I think we're much more aware, if that makes sense. Yeah. So again, not a surprise there.
About that piece.
And if hold on, if John Corwin has already
he's a total,
yes, he is. But if he has already won his race by 7 points, that's not good. That's Texas staying red, and
let's say,
like I said, it's definitely
Texas looks pretty red.
Yeah, Trump's now got a 300,000 vote lead with how much of the? He's got almost a 3.5 point lead, which is kind of the range that we thought he would be in at this point.
In Texas, we're talking about Texas.
Yes, in Texas. Well, again, obviously Trump can't win the White House if he loses Texas. Biden would absolutely win with a state like that. How much of the vote is now counted in Florida? Trump has a nearly 4-point lead in Florida, and they will not call it. This is just, again, the corporate media is not trusted. And how much did the corporate media play a role in people voting for Trump because they're so tired of it? Donald Trump has a 4-point lead in Florida, and I don't know what percentage of the vote has been counted at this point. Trump is now really taken a comfortable lead over Biden in Pennsylvania. 33% of the vote is reporting. Again, the only thing that really matters in Pennsylvania is how much outstanding vote is still out there in Philadelphia and maybe Pittsburgh, but that's about it.
Wisconsin has 45%
of the vote reporting, and it's a very close race, but I still think Biden's going to win Wisconsin. I'd be very surprised if that doesn't flip. Michigan.
You could do this too.
I could. Well, would you like to communicate? Can Trump win without Arizona? Yes, he can, depending on where the states break. Trump can still win the White House even if he loses Arizona. Wow. So Trump has, again, I think there's still an
only that. You're only at 36%.
Yeah, the upper peninsula is definitely going to go for Trump. Listen, basically, this does not look good for Biden at all. I mean, a lot of what he's going to need is some type of a massive surge in Flint and in Detroit. And you have to wonder, here's one thing that I think is very important that I would say could potentially be hurting Biden in Michigan. The fact that he did not reject the endorsement of former Governor Rick Snyder. He had deserved to lose the state for not rejecting that endorsement.
And that brings us back to what I was saying about candidates that show pictures themselves and associate with unpopular officials.
Correct.
If you're going to do that,
right,
you're going to get treated as such. And that should be a lesson to people locally who think that, just because our local congressperson keeps getting elected, it's not because she's really liked.
I've been saying this for the longest time.
They don't get it.
How long have I been saying this?
It's just they don't get it.
I've been saying it for weeks, if not months. This election, no matter what the numbers say, still feels like Trump's to lose. And why is that? Because this is an election not about Biden, but only about Trump. This is not about, I'm voting for Joe. You can convince yourself in your own mind that you're voting for Joe Biden, but the truth is they try to make Joe into this great guy. It's not true. We voted for him because we feel that there needs to be harm reduction, especially as it relates to the environment right now. But Joe Biden has a really, really checkered history. You would have to be in complete denial not to recognize it or not to admit it.
And we have to keep them accountable regardless. So that's the thing. He has to be held accountable.
Yeah.
At least if he's found competent to be held accountable, because I still think the Tara Reade allegations need to be dealt with.
I agree. And you know what? Yes, the pollsters, listen, the pollsters definitely bear responsibility, but I got to tell you, I know people personally who voted for Trump and will not say it publicly. They will not say it because it will have adverse effects on their own
secret
family.
Trump voter is a real thing.
Real thing. And this time.
And there's no secret Biden voter, really.
No, not at all.
No, because if there were to be a secret Biden voter, it would have been me. And since I'm not a secret Biden voter, I can only imagine that if I feel comfortable saying that out loud.
And I finally got my first text from a friend who says that she's leaving the country. Okay, fine. You know, listen.
You know what?
It is what it is.
Yeah, good for them. They'll go somewhere where they get health care.
Like I said, anybody out there who thinks that you can get on us, we worked our butts off. We tried to get Biden out there. We focused on down ballot progressives, which is infinitely more important than focusing on riding with Biden. You need your down ballot candidates to be strong and to have support because they'll whip the vote at the local level where one top flight candidate can't do it because Trump's people were knocking on 1 million doors a week. Do you know how absolutely incredible that is? Those are people that are determined.
And Joe can't keep up with that enthusiasm. They just can't. They
cannot compete with that. And again, Trump is a great candidate. You got to just give him his due. It doesn't
matter how badly he's doing. You cannot count him out.
Correct.
That's just the thing because he is a showman.
Obama was a great candidate and everyone thought he was going to lose in 2012, but he was a better candidate.
You left the country already. Good for you. Where are you?
Where are you, Louis? Matt, where are you? No, Matt, where are you, Matt? Tell us where you are. And
Matthew.
Yes.
Yeah, where are you, Matthew? We're curious.
And PW, we definitely agree. There's no question that, the pollsters, but again, they wanted to fit a narrative. There's no question that they did. There's no question that there was a narrative that they were trying to sell. Oh, and by the way, for all of you out there that think that Trump was going to be making an early call for winning the election, the fact that they have not called Florida yet, I mean, talk about hypocrisy. It's really, really bad.
Oh, you're in Portugal.
Jen wants to go to Portugal.
I did go to Portugal a few years ago. I went by myself. I loved it. I was in Lisbon and Porto and did some really cool day trips. And it's just beautiful there. And I would totally move there. Yeah. I loved Portugal. Also, there's this thing about, first of all, I really like the sound of Portuguese. I do. I think it sounds really cool. I even like it. And I even like Brazilian Portuguese, but it's not as cool as Portuguese. But
there's a lot of finger pointing that's going to go on after this race. There's no question. And everyone's going to say, you didn't do enough. You didn't do enough. You know who didn't do enough? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. They didn't do enough.
No, it's not even them because they're just them. They shouldn't be sitting there. That's the point, is the system is such that they shouldn't even be sitting there because nobody really picked them.
And the sad reality is people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz do not care about anything other than their own ass. And that's what people need to recognize. Debbie's not moving the needle for any candidates down here.
No.
In fact,
apparently she might have very negatively impacted a local commission race for someone who... And I got to tell you, in all reality, and I
multiple commission races, not just one.
Commission races, yeah.
The only one that she looks like she's probably gonna potentially have had her, but even then, I don't even know how much of an involvement in Hallandale did she actually even have.
That's just name recognition. Yeah. That's just name recognition.
And the person who's
even
already
though it's
there.
negative, and it's negative name recognition.
As the president of the United States would firmly say, any publicity is good publicity, no matter how bad it is. And that's how a lot of people feel. If Biden wins, all liberals will go to sleep. And if Trump 2.0 will probably win next time. If Trump wins, the environment, economy, and civil liberties get severely degraded.
You're right. It's like I've said it from the beginning. It's like a Band-Aid.
You can't win either way.
No, it's both. It's really both bad.
And if you really want the environment to change, then you have to make a commitment at the local level because that's where it happens.
That's true. So the environment is something that we can work on at the local level,
100%.
And that can
you want solar panels, you want wind turbines. Right, you want geothermal.
I want municipal composting.
Correct. One of the things that we're going to be doing with GenCorp going forward is building community gardens.
Building community gardens and working towards things
sustainable. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You can't worry about the president of the United States. You can't control that.
Yeah. The back to brunch effect. You know what's funny you say that because I don't know if you watch Bo with the Fifth Column. He's one of my favorites. He is putting together some sort of video production that'll have a bunch of YouTube talking heads saying basically the same line, which is, just so you know, brunch is still canceled. And that's what I've been saying all along. This election doesn't change what we need to do. We still need to be pushing for Medicare for all. We still need to be making sure that workers are treated fairly, especially in places that are right to work states like Florida. This isn't something that just because a Democrat gets elected helps us. We're still at war in 8 places. People are going to serve in Afghanistan whose fathers served in the exact same war. We have now been at war in Afghanistan for my son's entire life.
You know,
and that's not changing because Joe Biden gets elected.
You know, one of your supporters locally is this gentleman. I'm not going to say his last name. His name is Tim. And he wrote a message saying that if Bernie was the nominee, I probably wouldn't have voted for him. He's too divisive. And all I could think of is, you got to stop focusing on these people's personalities. It's all about the issues. That's all that matters.
It is.
It's not about whether you like the person or not. It's like, why do people like Nancy Pelosi? Does it have anything at all to do with her policies? No, it doesn't. People are just enamored with her, you know, Marie Antoinette lifestyle. She would be perfect on the Real Housewives of San Francisco, Nancy. Why don't you do that instead? That would be a lot more better use of your time.
That commercial, that spot that the Trump people did about Nancy Pelosi in the beginning of the coronavirus, when it was showing her pulling out her freezer of gourmet ice cream superimposed with the food line.
You had to know that was a bad omen at that moment.
Well, you know what? And when he did that, I thought, you know, how do other people not recognize this? First of all, I thought it was a great ad. I would, you know, he's right. There are people waiting in like 3-mile-long food lines, and she's sitting there on television showing off an array of gourmet ice cream in her freezer. It is the most let them eat cake moment that I've seen, I think, in my lifetime. And yet these people still get voted in.
Yeah, I agree. And that is, again, will it be? Well, here's the thing. The key now, especially if Trump holds on, and we can start having this conversation right now, guys, there is no reason not to have it. But I would say right now, if this field holds, which right now it does not look good for Biden, if ultimately Trump holds on, you are looking at, in my opinion, Nina Turner and Andrew Yang. Those to me would be the top 2 off the top of my head right now.
Well, that's who we like.
That's correct.
That's wishful thinking on our part, because we'd be just Team Nina. I'm Team Nina. And, you know, it would be cool if there was a way to utilize the infrastructure or whatever's left of it, of a Democratic Party, to get these things through. But if that's not the way it's going to work, then that's not the way it's going to work.
Well, again, you know, right now, like I said, we're trying to find the silver lining wherever it is. All I know is the way that the trends are moving, it doesn't look good. The fact that it's this close, you never know how it's going to break. You just don't. And it could change. Biden could win. It's not over, but the idea that it's this close is kind of incredible. And we're almost, you know, the West Coast polls are going to close. Biden is going to, you know, capture, I think, about 55. He's going to capture about 70 electoral votes. So he'll move over 200 electoral votes very, very shortly when the polls close on the West Coast. He'll grab California, Oregon, and Washington. And then obviously Hawaii. And that'll put him in, you know, that same range. Well, not even
this is where we are right now. This is where we are right now.
So right now, Biden did win Virginia. So that obviously would have been a complete.
And Trump won South Carolina.
Again, no surprises yet.
No.
The states that Biden would have needed to pick off to end this would have been Georgia and Texas. It does not look like he's going to, I don't know, what do the numbers look like in Georgia right now? It does look like Trump is definitely getting where he needs to be in Texas.
So you have 61% reporting.
Trump is still maintaining a very comfortable lead in Georgia. So again, he didn't, Biden didn't need to win Georgia, but definitely losing Georgia at this point with the way the map is shaping up is not good at all. So it's, again, I'm not that surprised.
I said in the beginning, nothing wouldn't surprise me either way.
Yeah. Why haven't they called Florida yet? Because they
are going to hold on with the death grip.
Correct. They are only going to call. Do not forget how much the establishment hates this man. They hate him not because of his policies. They hate him because he doesn't protect the empire as effectively as somebody like Biden.
He exposes their secrets.
Correct.
He exposes their secrets. He told us that we were in Syria for the oil.
We're totally going in there for the oil.
And I actually appreciated that. When he said that,
just be honest.
I was like, thank you for your candor. You know, no, everyone else would have said, oh, we're there because Assad gasses people, human rights violations. We have to liberate those people. No, Trump said, we're there for the oil. We're protecting the oil. Thank you for telling me that. You know, he even said it in regards to our interests in Venezuela. He's even mentioned, well, you know, the oil, we got to get. Thank you. We knew it, but it's nice to hear it. And yet the establishment doesn't like that. They don't like their secrets being out.
That's right.
They like their secrets kept very, very quiet.
And again, here we are still, you know, trying to, it's masks off with Trump, and that is what they cannot afford. They are losing control, and more people are going to become intolerant of it. And now, if Trump holds on,
it's done. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. And so, Trump has a 400,000 vote lead in the state. This is so sickening. Hillary lost the state by 150,000 votes. Trump is almost triple up with 90. I can't take it anymore. I mean, I understand why people become so disassociated with this stuff and why they don't trust it.
So, you know, it's okay. So Florida, we have 91% reporting, and Trump is up 400,000 votes. How does, you know, now granted, we did talk about the counting of absentee ballots and what that might look like for Joe Biden, but you have 91% reporting.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 67 counties in Florida, and the Republicans are going to win 56 of them. So, again, if you want to continue pretending like the Democratic Party doesn't have a problem, you know, if you go back and you look at the map when Clinton won Florida in 96, when Obama won Florida in 08, 16, 17 counties went Democrat. You know, you're really in denial if you think that there isn't a problem. There is.
And they were so, like, they just don't.
What were they? Again,
Bernie would be winning in a landslide.
He would.
And you know
because
what?
all Bernie would have to say is,
Medicare.
we are totally going to give this country Medicare for all. We are going to give them a UBI. We are going to give them a living wage. We are going to make their lives better.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think that, you know, a couple of years ago when this all started, I remember saying so many people, I'm like, the only one who can really beat him is Bernie.
Yeah.
That's the only person who draws
fake
the
populism.
crowd.
You can only beat fake populism with real populism.
Right.
That's it.
So when we went to that Trump rally and we saw it, there's no way that somebody that is filling up arenas is going to lose to somebody who can't fill up a gymnasium.
Yeah.
And that's what it has always been. And I've said that from the beginning. Bernie was the compromise people.
And everybody wants to be blaming the COVID and everyone is a super spreader and all this stuff. Well, you know what? It should have scared the living daylights out of you that people are willing to risk death to fight for Trump to get him into the White House. Does that not kind of spell it out? Cotton Eye Joe. Sam with the comment of the night. Comment of the night. That is the comment of the night, 100%.
Here, and this is.
How did you not make Cotton Eye Joe your song? Something as simple as that.
Is that a song I should know? I don't know that song.
The Cotton Eye Joe. I've been married a long time ago.
How do I not know that song?
Where did you go?
That's okay. I didn't know what that was called. Okay. Like a hillbilly song.
We don't want to get to, we're not even monetized at this point. We don't want to get in trouble of actually playing a song that we shouldn't be playing right now. Although, actually, could we do that?
Could we do what?
Could we play a song and not get in trouble because we're
not monetized anyway?
We're not monetized at this point. No, go to it. No, just open up another tab.
Hold on a second. Okay, but first of all
yeah. Bloody eye Joe.
All right, here, find what you want to find.
Okay.
Now you have no idea what nonsense is now going to ensue. I really wish we had some sort of like game to be playing. I feel like I'm getting a little hungry. I feel like we've been sitting here a long time. All right, but wait, you have to pause it and then share the screen. You got to pause it.
They don't have. They could hear it. I'm telling you, this could have been a great campaign song. How could you not think of using something like this? Totally could have helped Biden because nothing else could.
I so need a cowboy hat.
And you know.
Okay, thank you to one of our producers, Sam L, for suggesting.
Yes. Hit the like
button. Everybody hit the like button. Subscribe on YouTube. Share. Find us on Spotify and iTunes. All right, you got to stop this song. No, I can't. It sounds like something from like was that like the Dancing Hamsters?
Well, they actually played it at Yankee Stadium.
It sounds like a Dancing Hamster song.
Yeah, they definitely played it at Yankee Stadium during a lot of the breaks in the games, and so that was a pretty big deal. So everybody would always get up and dance, and then you had one guy up in the booth who always started doing the dance and all that stuff. So he's having a good time. I
mean, look, that is the one thing we can say about the Democrats. They have access to all the cool songs. Every time that Republicans try to use the cool songs, they get put in their place by the cool people that don't use my music for that.
All I could say is if Trump does pull this off again, yes. So we turned it off. Okay. I'm telling you right now, he is going to go scorched earth on so many people. The entire country was coming after him.
Oh yeah.
And if he wins again, oh my God,
I'm hopeful that he'll do something like just say to hell with it and legalize weed.
He could do a lot of things. All I hope is that if Trump, if there is a silver lining to Trump winning again right now,
I have a few
then we will get this. Then we pray to God we do, but we obviously get the stimulus because we need it. The country is in desperate need right now.
Yeah, there's a few silver linings.
You have to wonder if that may have went into people's minds at the 11 o'clock hour and decided to break for Trump because they know if Trump is reelected, they're automatically in a much better position to get the stimulus check. Whereas with or some type of relief package. Whereas with Biden, you're waiting until and thank you, Nancy Pelosi, for making it effing political at the 11 o'clock hour. So you're talking about not getting a stimulus package probably until February. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I mean, he definitely inspires that far right, but this is something that I always thought from the beginning. So we're having this rising here. We're having this populist uprising in this country, and it's happening on the left and it's happening on the right. And if Trump gets elected, if he's reelected, that gives not only the right another 4 years to sort of just sit and fester, but it allows the left to be really working and coming up with a better solution. And it keeps the center left interested. Because if Biden wins, the center left is going back to brunch.
Oh, they most certainly are.
And so
I'm not even sure that they will go back to brunch, depending on what the outcome of this election is. The idea that people were talking about a Biden landslide, even Crystal and Sagar on Rising today were both. Crystal absolutely thought this was going to be a wash. And even Sagar thought that Biden would win and it would be somewhat close.
Kyle called it for Biden, saying that Trump's best, and he might still be right.
Yes,
because he said Trump's best case scenario was like 278 electoral votes.
It really depends on it. Well, again, a lot of it really depends on Pennsylvania. That because right now it looks like Florida's definitely in Trump's column.
Yes,
it's just a matter of when it comes.
They're not going to call it, but it's
Trump
there.
has a very comfortable lead in Georgia, which is somewhat surprising. His lead,
but it's only 42%.
But again, his lead in Pennsylvania just continues to grow. I don't know how much of a vote is out there for Biden to make up. That's the thing. And even Jordan Chariton said that Trump is looking very good in Pennsylvania. So that in itself is a big deal. The same is true in some of the other states in the Rust Belt. And are we gonna talk about the elephant in the room? Are we gonna talk about the fact that If we're going to talk about the fact that Joe Biden is responsible for NAFTA, Is that ever going to be NAFTA Joe? And Trump, frankly, didn't even say it that much. But the people that vote in those areas definitely remember. They may not like a lot of what Trump has done, but they certainly know what Biden has done in the past. This was all about stopping Bernie.
You know what's amazing? In our little eco bubble here where we live, you have so many people here that are going to be distraught over this.
Oh, right?
They're not going to even know.
We have always pontificated on the notion of
our local clubs
we just want to see, not necessarily experience it, but we would want to see in a different time warp literally seeing their heads explode if this guy wins again.
And they're going to be beside themselves. That
they are.
And this group of women and people that are they're going to be beside themselves. And what's so interesting is I remember many times over the past couple of years trying to have reasonable discussions with a lot of these people, our local political people, and trying to explain to them that their perception is inside of an echo chamber and that they're not really aware of what goes on outside of that. And I even went as far as telling a lot of these people, Bernie really is the compromise. He's the compromise. So I said this. I said this a long time ago. I said this when this whole thing started. I said, your next president is going to be Bernie or Trump. Yeah. And I truly felt that. I felt that because in the very beginning of this race. I said many times, your next president is going to be Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump.
And you're completely ignoring where this country is going. That is the problem. There's this they are ignoring where the trends are going. And that is the problem. You want to pretend like this isn't happening.
Just like in our district, we see that on a microcosmic level. Yeah. They pretended that our race wasn't happening the entire time.
Correct.
They just pretended that race didn't even happen.
And yet somehow 21,500 people managed to come out and vote for her in a congressional race, a congressional primary race. That's a lot. And with no attention.
None. And yet our party people, the clubs, are still going on like that never even happened.
Why are you allowed to have primaries on the Republican side, but you can't have them on the Democratic side? It means your position's precarious. But that is also because on the Republican side, the reason it's allowed is because it's always about the issues. And those issues do not juxtapose away from what is the most important things for the Republicans. Total free market capitalism, constitutional rights, religious freedoms, things like that. That really matters to them. On the Democratic side, there is a civil war going on right now between corporate and non-corporate. To deny that is what is going on, and that is what is going to continue, regardless of who wins this race. That is going to be taken up 1,000 notches after tonight. Clearly, something's going on, and apparently, I just got word on Twitter that apparently they stopped counting the mail-in ballots in Philadelphia. This is like.
What do you mean? They just stopped?
They just stopped. Everybody's pointing the finger at Trump, and yet they're doing the exact same thing. What do they always say? Always, whatever it is that you're doing, blame the other side.
Yeah.
So it looks like New Hampshire went for Biden. So that's not that big of a surprise. I don't think New Hampshire was really in play.
No.
New Hampshire
New Hampshire
the last time New Hampshire went for a Republican was Bush in 2000, I think. So it's been, a lot of people consider New Hampshire to be a swing state, but it's been firmly blue for 2 decades now. I don't know why.
Like at what point does something switch from being a swing state to being a firm?
Yeah, exactly. New England is obviously, you would expect that. Check what's going on in Maine. What's going on with the Senate race there? What is going on with the overall race there? That'll be very interesting. Feel bad for Lisa. Didn't get any traction, but again, that probably has as much to do with money and his resources as anything. But Susan Collins is going to walk to a re-election. Thank you, Sarah Gideon, for not supporting Medicare for all. Thank you for continuing to be corporate and not recognizing what the hell is going on here. Same with UBI, same with living wage, same with the Green New Deal. This is a result of you standing for nothing. You stand for nothing.
Who are we talking about?
Harris, Jamie Harrison lost. We know Leroy.
Against Lindsey Graham?
Yeah. When this starts happening, can you say what the actual...
But that's only 26% Republican.
That's true. And again, I could be wrong. I don't know how much outstanding vote is out there right now.
No, you have,
So I
because
could be
that's a
wrong.
small one. That's
It
a
is.
small number. What
It
do you
is.
want to know?
What's the overall presidential? I guess it doesn't matter if only that percentage of the actual race is going on. Yeah, Biden's going to win Maine. That's
Biden?
not. Yeah, well, Biden will win Maine. That's
You
what I'm
think?
saying. Yes.
Why do you think that?
Yes, I do. How about this guy, Rock De La Fuente? It's really funny how this guy just managed to find his way onto every single ballot in the country.
The Alliance Party.
Yeah, some
The
other party that
Alliance
we're not
Party.
familiar with, but hey, I guess if you don't feel too comfortable with who's running, that's your way of just sort of changing things.
Nothing's happening there.
No,
Nothing's happening.
what's in
there.
Arizona? Check Arizona. See what's going on.
Biden's winning Arizona.
Yeah, but how close is the race?
You're at 73% reporting.
Yeah, it looks like Biden is going to flip Arizona. That's not shocking. See what the Senate race looks like right now for Mark Kelly. I think he's probably in good shape. That would be my guess. Yeah. Mark Kelly looks like he's going to win. So Mark Kelly had more to do with Arizona than Joe Biden.
If Joe Biden gets Arizona, it is not because of Joe Biden.
No,
it's
it's
because
because Martha McSally is such a disaster of a candidate on the GOP.
And
side.
Is a good
and
candidate.
he is. Yes, he is.
He's a good
and
candidate.
He's
got the personal story.
He's just a
great
great
Gabby Giffords.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's just like
he's a dream candidate.
Very happy for him. And Arizona looks like it will go blue. And that obviously changes the map in some way if it ultimately holds. But again, it won't matter because the Rust Belt is looking very good for Trump at this moment.
Is that your prediction?
Well, again, something is obviously going on in Pennsylvania right now. It looks like they stopped counting the vote in Philadelphia, and that's a big deal. Why they stopped counting? They said that they stopped counting the vote.
You only have 44% reporting in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
It's still going in very slow. But why are you not counting the vote in Philadelphia?
I'm surprised they count votes anywhere. I need to eat something.
You want?
I want to. I mean, how long do we do this?
Well, I guess it depends on.
Because I'm tired and I'm hungry.
We're coming up on the 11 o'clock hour now. I believe the polls are going to be closing on the West Coast. We don't know. The fact that they're not. Go back to Florida real quick. Let's just see what's going on in Florida. Because again,
you've got 97%
reporting, and Trump leads by 400,000 votes. It's just. Like I said, it's not right. You're doing a disservice. You really are. I don't know what they're doing. This is amazing. And this is in a pandemic. I mean, all you could do is laugh. You really can. Because what else could you do? You don't want to feel like, total, not even depressed, but just the idea that, especially in Florida, nothing changes. It's really what it is. And
I got to tell you, there's some happy little things on here for me.
Yeah.
Pleases me.
But ultimately, the Democrats are going to lose 2 congressional seats in Florida. So that's a 4-seat swing. I don't know how that's going to break in other places. The West Coast just got called as expected. Biden cleans the West Coast, which was, again, no surprises there. I don't know what's going on in Nevada. That is a swing state. It is expected to be close. Don't know how close.
Let's see. But it's too early. That's
way too early in Nevada to call. But ultimately, we'll see what ends up happening. I don't even know if they've even. It doesn't even look like they've started counting in Nevada yet. So look, the states that Biden was expected to win have all gone chalk at this point. The only outstanding states that Biden has right now that are expected to be in his column are obviously Hawaii. I don't know what's going to happen with Minnesota. That's way too early to tell. I do think Wisconsin will break for Biden. I could be wrong there. But again, a lot of these outstanding states that are firmly way too early in Iowa. This is the exact same thing that happened back in 2016. Hillary was up way early in Iowa, and then eventually it broke for Trump late. A lot of the outstanding counties in Iowa that haven't been counted, from what it looks like on the map, are counties that are Trump favorable.
That's Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, Trump has a 5-point lead in Wisconsin with 56% of the vote counted. Again, I don't know what to tell you. All I know is I
want to take the Ambien and go to bed and wake up and find out who's the president.
When you did that, you know what happened? We did that last time.
Yeah, and I figured it would happen again this time. I mean, honestly,
it's let's see. Let's check Texas. Let's see what's
Here,
going on.
you do it.
Okay.
You can do it. I need to get food.
So Jen is going to take a break for a
I'm
minute
getting
and go get some
food.
food.
I need
If there's anybody who's honestly surprised, though, and you're going to bring it in, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want me to bring you food?
No, I want, well, yeah, sure.
Or you want me to just
You can do whatever you want. Just come back. I can only hold it down for so long. And so right now, you've got 73% of the vote counted. Trump has almost a 4.5 point lead, he's got a 400,000 plus vote lead over Biden. So clearly the state is a lot closer. Not really a surprise. But ultimately, they're not going to be able to blame the Green Party for not being able to bring Biden over the top. And then, of course, like I said, what hurts me the most is you got these down ballot races, these really great candidates like Donna Imam, Mike Siegel, Adrian Bell. There was not a dynamic candidate at the top of the ticket that could have really helped them make the difference in their race. And that, to me, really speaks a lot to what is the problem here. You need to have that dynamic candidate that is going to be a swoon for the rest of the candidates running throughout the country in down ballot races. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, certainly not the ticket that was going to do that. I don't know what they were thinking, but maybe what they were thinking is, I don't really care if we win or not. If we win, it's a bonus. They did their job in the primary. They stopped burning. That in itself is, it's not, I'm not at a loss for words, but I'm kind of living in the moment right now because Trump is less hated than the DC establishment. I think in a way that's really what it's about. This is not about Biden. This is simply about Trump or no Trump. And as much as everyone put on this full court press to get Trump out of office, it won't work unless you're offering something. You can say, we got to get rid of Trump. We got to get rid of Trump. But I just kept thinking, maybe it'll work. But then on the other hand, I thought, but what are you offering? What are you going to get? And again, I do think right now there is no question that there could have been a lot of votes that broke late in Trump's favor because people are also scared of not having a stimulus package come their way. And if Biden were to win, you'd be looking at sitting around for at least 4 months. No one can wait. If Trump wins, you almost think like you hope that you might just get that stimulus package pushed through, since it looks like, look, who knows who's going to be in charge of the Senate? I hope. I think it's more important that the Democrats win the Senate than winning the White House. And the reason I say that is because you got to get Mitch McConnell out of power once and for all. And that will happen if the Democrats win the Senate. That, to me, is significant. Mark Kelly is clearly going to be on the Democratic side. Definitely look for what's going to happen out in Alaska. It's very possible that Al Gross could win that Senate seat, which would be great. We got to protect the environment. The environment is really everything right now. Those votes are not being counted. Yeah, Dan Sullivan is knee deep in this drilling project.
Didn't we also win Colorado, Hickenlooper?
Yes, Hickenlooper did win, so he flipped. I don't know, but again, hold on. Let's not worry about that. Let's take a look at Indiana, because Indiana obviously has a very important Senate race. There's no U.S. selection in. There isn't.
Mm-mm.
Oh, then I guess I got that one wrong. Okay, my mistake. Alabama. You see, this is the tricky one. The U.S. Senate race. See, Tommy Tuberville has flipped he crushed Doug Jones. And again, this is as much about Trump than anything else. So by Tommy Tuberville winning his Senate seat against Doug Jones, you're now in a situation where it cancels out Hickenlooper's win in Colorado. So now you're back to square one again.
And then you still have Mark Kelly.
Yes. Well, again, you're assuming that Mark Kelly wins, and right now it looks like that he will. What is going on in Georgia? Georgia is a very important race because you've got two of them going on right now. 66% reporting. David Perdue it looks like he's going to hold on to his seat, but Raphael Warnock this is what you would call the jungle primary election going on right now. Definitely would like to see Raphael win. Kelly Loeffler doesn't belong anywhere near an effing Senate seat. And the fact that you've got two Republicans running for it right now might cancel each other out. So if the Democrats, even if they don't win the state, if they are able to get a Senate seat in Georgia, that would be tremendously important. It really would, especially going into the gubernatorial race in 2022. But right now,
I mean, you're still at 66% reporting, but that's pretty significant.
yeah, 66% reporting. Trump holds a
10-point
325,000 vote lead, 10-point lead in Georgia. That is, again, is it safe? Not necessarily. But like in 2016, if you remember, Georgia got called very late. So that's not entirely surprising. You've got a lot of outstanding votes out there. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening. Like I said, Georgia is very important for it's very important for both candidates at this point, considering the way that the Rust Belt is going. But that's, again, the fact that we're looking at this map the way that it's looking right now, again, it could go either way. Biden could still win, but it's looking like Trump is doing pretty good. That's again, we're trying to keep it 100% here. We don't want to be in a situation where we're just playing for a team. Obviously, we supported one side, but that's not where we're headed right now. And we're gonna the Joe Rogan experience, end of the world.
Number two.
So, like I said, we're not learning anything new at the moment. This may ultimately drag on for quite a while. There's no telling how much.
The fact that they haven't called Florida is crazy.
Yeah. I say we call it a night when they call Florida, but that could take another hour or two.
That could take weeks for Florida.
Yeah, it definitely could, because they just either don't want to be honest about it.
Why are they not calling Florida?
I don't know. 98% reporting, and Trump leads by 4 points. And they're just continuing to let's check North Carolina. Trump leads by, oh, wow. So North Carolina is very close. And obviously that's not, click on that real quick. So in North Carolina, Trump leads by less than 100,000 votes. It is a very close race. So that's obviously one that you don't call until the very end. I don't know where the outstanding votes are.
3 melatonin, Sam.
Should we call it for Trump? No. Well, in Florida, yes, Florida.
We're not calling it because you took melatonin, Sam.
Yes, Sam. We know that's going to help you sleep, but nevertheless, the map, again, it's.
Wait, what happened? Hold on.
Nothing happened.
No, they called something. His number went up. Was he at 10? Oh no, he was at 118 before.
Yeah,
I thought he was
they
at
might have
something
called.
lower.
Well, I think they called Nebraska. They finally called Nebraska for Trump.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that was 5 points.
Okay.
3 electoral votes. You want to see what? Can you click on that map real quick? We're just going to check what happened in Nebraska, and can they check the House race? See what happened. House.
I see.
No. Incorrect. Let go. Move your hand.
Then you do
Okay.
it.
Okay. I am doing it.
Oh, that. Okay.
Okay. So that's seat 1. Is this seat 2? So it is pretty close. I don't know if all 59% of the precincts are reporting. Don Bacon still leads Cara Eastman. Cara is definitely a progressive. She's on Jen Slate from Brand New Congress. We're definitely pulling for her. The Libertarian is actually helping Cara, ironically enough. But hey, it's democracy. You can run for whatever you want to run for. And it's
not in Florida.
But like I said, I still think that even if Biden is able to pull this off, the adverse effect of not having a dynamic candidate at the top is only going to hurt. And that's a problem. It really is. And so this is, again, it is unfortunate. We were hoping for a good result. Right now, it's not looking good, but it's not over yet. There's a lot of things that could happen. It's just, I feel, like I said, I feel bad, as I'm sure you do, for the down ballot progressives who didn't have a dynamic candidate at the top to help them catch the
look,
wave.
They didn't care enough about us. They don't care enough about changing policy. They're happy with the way things are. So why would they put a lot of effort into it? And this is where we are.
Yeah.
They want to blame the people at the bottom for why Joe Biden might not be able to get over the finish line, instead of looking at why we didn't have a better candidate at the top to help the down ballots win their races. It should be going the other way. Those are the people with the power that they're just not wanting to share.
Yeah. And again, that's why Nancy Pelosi is 80 years old and doesn't want to give up the speakership. But that, again, it has to do with money and power. It's a very big part of the process. And that's, again, it's unfortunate, but that's what happens. These are, the circumstances that we're stuck with. And who knows, even if, regardless of what ultimately ends up happening, what lessons, will be learned, because we don't know. We don't know what lessons are going to be learned from this. We can only hope that there is a changing of the guard, because we're going to continue to fight for the issues that matter. This is not about power. This is not about prestige. This is about making lives better for people in this country who desperately need it.
I mean, this is why that's why I was saying we're doing the same thing regardless of what happens with this.
Yeah. And there's no question.
Because we're in the same boat either way. We still don't have health care. We still don't have, the national minimum wage. We need things.
Yeah. And I don't know what this election says to a lot of people. Check Ohio. Okay. So Trump is going to win Ohio. And the map just continues to break for Trump. Again, it's
to me it really goes to the delusion of the Democratic Party.
They do this to themselves. Like, this is not.
They're just delusional.
And for all of the Johnny-come-latelys who get all up for the general but don't get up for the primaries, this is what you get. You're not paying attention when you need to. When the Democrats are complaining about the integrity of the vote, open your freaking eyes about what happened in the primary.
So did Kyle fly out to California? I guess he did.
No, Texas.
Oh, Texas. He flew?
Yeah, maybe.
Wait, where's Joe Rogan?
I think he's in Houston.
Houston?
Yeah. So he relocated. Or is he in Austin? He may be in Austin. I could be wrong. I'm not exactly sure where he is. Yeah, 4 more years of fundraising off of Trump. So now you got your freaking boogeyman there.
Which is what they really wanted.
And that's what Debbie Wasserman Schultz is going to do. We have to fight against Trump.
And she actually put out so many mailers and so many promotional materials claiming that she is the person who'll stand up to Trump.
Yeah, she really fought him hard. Fought him hard enough that he's going to get reelected.
Not only that,
really makes sense.
She fought him so hard that she was one of 30 Democrats that couldn't see fit to lower the Pentagon budget by just 10%. She is one of how many Democrats that couldn't vote to get us out of Afghanistan. So yeah, she's really fighting Trump on our behalf.
100%. And Sam just said he's in Austin. So I was right on the second guess, but I always knew that I was in somewhere in the range.
You were wrong.
I'm totally not wrong.
You're wrong.
I was totally right about everything. And we're totally doing a really amazing job right now. Do you see Ohio? Ohio is breaking exactly the way it's supposed to.
I see Ohio.
All right, check Michigan.
You check
Michigan.
I'll check.
All right, so Michigan, still only 44% in. Trump's got a very comfortable lead, but it's still way too, well, you never know. Trump leads by 13 in Pennsylvania, which Trump leads by 9, 68% reporting. Okay, how about this? Trump leads by 4 points with 98% reporting in Florida. Again, you are the country dislikes the establishment more than it dislikes Trump.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fact. That is, if there is one thing we can establish, and I'll put that out on social media.
And it's interesting, but our local Dems here just don't see it. They don't. In fact, when I'm at a polling location and I walk over and talk to a friend of mine who's a Republican who's running for office, and we're talking, and the general consensus and the attitude is over on the blue team side that they can't believe that I'm going and talking to him. This is the reason why Democrats will continue to lose.
Correct. And
there was oblivious.
There was a lovely lady, this lovely Democrat in Weston, who actually came over to us and said, I'm going to be very vulnerable right now and admit to you that I prejudged you because I saw you talking to some Republicans. And I think you guys are really outstanding people. And it's good to see that there are people who are trying to make sure that you actually can get along with everybody.
Yeah.
And I told her, thank you for saying that, because people are afraid to say things like that.
Yeah.
But the truth is, this country is going through a transition period right now. And a lot of people of the old guard, especially people over the age of 65, they don't like it. They don't like having the finger pointed in their direction, knowing that they brought a lot of this on themselves, that they never asked questions, that they were never concerned about what was going on with other people, what was in their best interest. How do we make these changes?
That's not his usual studio, though.
It's a new studio because he's in Texas. But that is what I think. as much as anything matters.
We need to get as big as Joe Rogan so I can move wherever I want to move.
We're just getting started.
That's what we need to do. And that way I can be doing this from my little mountain house in Asheville.
So a very important ballot measure passed in. This is why a lot of people said going in, elections have very little to do with this. You have to start now. This is where the movement begins. So Measure 110 has passed in our good friend Mike Figueredo's state of Oregon. First state in the nation to decriminalize possession of drugs besides marijuana for personal use.
Thank you.
How do you like that?
But and it's not at all surprising that it's Oregon.
Oregon is considered one of the top 2 or 3 best states in the country to live in.
Yes.
If you look at everything top to bottom.
They have my top. The 2 most important things thinking about retirement for me are death with dignity and legalized marijuana.
And guess which state has that?
Both death with dignity and legalized marijuana.
And the funny thing is, Portland is not exactly the place that if you know Oregon, it's not the first place you just think to go. There is that state, especially from a environmental nature standpoint, is unbelievably gorgeous. I haven't been there. Would really love to go. I've been to California.
I want to go. I've heard it's extremely green. I really, I would love to go, and I want to go to Crater Lake. I've got a whole list of stuff.
Lake Oswego is beautiful. Again, the Pacific Northwest has a lot of great to offer. It really does. And it is blue. There's no question about that.
Oh, it's blue. Look at it.
Yeah, very blue. Totally blue. We're totally not giving them health there. We're totally not giving them health. They're all blue.
Nobody's getting health care.
Nobody's getting health care. Totally not. And definitely not them. Totally terrible. They'd have voted against me. I can't help that.
Well, he wants to screw Michigan is who he wants to screw.
So as it turns out, I get to play Donald Trump for another 4 years. Well, I'm not even saying anything yet. I'm not saying anything.
Well, and that's your silver lining ultimately, isn't it? That you get to continue to do
And the
this.
Democrats get to fundraise off of him for the next 4 years.
They love that.
Yeah. That's the...
But I'm getting about done with this.
I think we're getting pretty close.
I'm feeling done, and they're not calling Florida.
They're not calling any states at this point. I am going to do one more blast to try to get everybody in here. Just to do our, just to say goodnight, just to let everybody know.
Do you have to keep forcing people to come in here?
No. I mean, I just have to retweet it, and then ultimately they come in. So, it's, I think we can all agree that this is not as shocking as people are going to make it out to be.
No,
it's not. It's not. And will they look at themselves in the mirror? That's a question. Will they? I don't think so.
No, they're going back. They're going to go back to just complaining about Trump, blaming it all on him, they're going to be so dumbfounded as to how did this possibly happen? How could this possibly happen? Because they live in little bubbles and they don't understand that the rest of the people around them are not in the bubble with them.
That is correct. And again,
and by the way, Broward, huge bubble, a lot of little bubble livers here.
It's a very, because look at how Dade broke. Dade wasn't playing the game, but Broward plays the game. They don't care about anything, riding with Biden.
Okay, so I'm just looking at this from our Broward Supervisor of Elections.
Yeah.
So mail-in ballots were 474,657. Early voting was 364,712. Today, it was 123,842. So, and of all of that, there were only 594 provisional ballots.
I didn't think that there was going to be in our area a huge influx on election day. I was not surprised by that. Not in Broward anyway. I mean, we don't know necessarily what was going on in other places. We had a very high turnout, 76%. That's very high.
That's great.
Yeah. And good. You should vote. The only problem is you only like it when they vote your way. And that's not good.
No.
So we need to just have everybody engaged. And that matters. And like I said, the good news is there are from a strategic standpoint for us in the county, in terms of what we're trying to do, in terms of building our movement, there definitely were some wins tonight that will help us.
Yeah. So people that are here at a local level and are that wanting to be part of what we're moving forward on and what we're trying to accomplish here, we did have some good wins locally today.
Yes.
We have Harold Pryor is our state attorney. He is someone who has said he is willing to work with us
Yes.
on diversion programs for juveniles. So, I mean, I feel like there's
having Harold
Joe
Pryor,
Scott, one supervisor of elections.
Having Harold Pryor there is also going to make it easier for Ruby Green to be involved in different
It's just
things that
good.
we
And, Marie Woodson won in Florida's 101.
For the state house. She is she was my neighbor.
She's
Just
a great lady. She really killed it.
She really did. And she didn't have to be out there hauling. Think about that. Just the fact that she was hauling booty today when she didn't need to do it.
She didn't even need to be out there, and she was out there all day today.
Yeah.
Doing her thing. I know. That is a public servant. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Frederica still didn't even put out a sign.
Doesn't care.
For people who live in District 24, you're being cheated and bamboozled. It is a sham. Yeah. There is nobody really representing you. Well, just a hat.
What we're going to try to do is try to lay somewhat of a foundational groundwork that people can lean on and work off of and, take some of our ideas. Because even though we got just under 30% of the vote, we were able to do a lot with our hands and legs being tied. And that matters because there are strategic ways to get this done.
Tamara really crushed.
Yep.
And then second is, it looks like he will not be. It looks like Bill Harris might not be joining them.
No.
Looks like he is no longer.
That is how about, and we said hi to Joyce. The thing we liked about Joyce, she had great the
well,
aesthetic.
You liked her. You liked her whole
But
thing.
You know what? It's better than having a person who is just going to be doing the bidding of the developers. That is something that has to change. And I think everybody would agree with that. Let me see hold on. Let me just see what happened with a couple of these. Stop.
I'm trying to make it smaller. Stop touching it.
So 31. So Annabelle Lima, not surprised there. A lot of these races ultimately went kind of the way that you would expect. Most of the people are still sitting.
I'm very pleased that our friend Linda Anderson won city commissioner in Hollywood, seat number 2. She took out the incumbent, Peter Hernandez. That is a win. For us, it's also a win that Adam Gruber has been able to unseat Richard Blattner. Of course, it didn't hurt him that he was endorsed by the mayor of that same commission. But yes, he did. He won that. So that's great for our friend Adam.
Again, we do
Plantation, Jennifer Andrew, friend. She has won in Plantation her seat, which is great.
Can I see that?
Which one?
Jennifer Andrew. And Jen Izaguri did a really good job.
And Jen Izaguri came in second. And so between Jennifer Andrew and Jennifer Izaguri, they both did better individually than the incumbent who's sitting there. And so we're going to say goodbye to Councilman Ron Jacobs and say thank you for your service and happy trails.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's how I feel about all these people. It's like, thank you for your service. Bye-bye.
You got to start really just doing some house cleaning. And this is where it happens. It happens at the local level. It happens with grassroots campaigns that a couple of thousand votes, a few thousand votes here and there can really make the difference.
Yeah. Southwest Ranches just got completely turned upside down. I am happy to say, did she win? Nope. Christine didn't win that seat. Christine Judakis, who was running for city commissioner in West Park.
The lady you spoke with the other day. Yeah, some of these, I'm telling you, some of these races are razor thin margins at the local level. They really do make a difference. No question. No question. And if we're checking the map again right now, 75. See, Florida again, once again, is stuck. But like I said, Trump has almost a 400,000 vote lead with 98% reporting. And I think they just like to do this on purpose for whatever reason. Make it more difficult. I'm just, like I said, I'm tired of this game that they play. They say that Trump is going to do all this stuff. And then of course they end up doing it themselves. And it just looks really, really bad. So yeah, and Trump has just taken the lead in Iowa. Not a surprise. This is exactly how it went in 2016.
What's the number right now?
The number is still where it was before, but all of these states, could you imagine if Trump wins a bigger electoral victory than he did in 2016?
Yes.
My God.
I can.
I can
envision
that would just be Oh, God. And Trump did so many things wrong.
In the middle of a pandemic where over like 250,000 people have died, and he could have actually handled everything better, and he's still winning. And the Democrats will still blame everybody else. It will be all about Russia. We'll hear all about Russia.
Yeah. How long before it is? How long before it is Russia?
We're already starting. They already started.
They're gonna insinuate
Russia.
that some type of a conspiracy from a foreign country has come in. I put this out there earlier and just said, where is it? If Biden loses, can we all agree it will be because he didn't do enough to get the votes? And that's the truth. He didn't do enough to get the votes.
I don't think he really ever wanted the job.
I'm not sure he did either.
He's just their person that they had to put up because that's who they could, I guess, best think would be the safest bet for people to get behind. And they refuse to listen to us. Been telling people for years that it is Bernie or it is Trump. Get behind the person who is filling up the stadiums. You have two choices.
That's why, like I said, I don't want to hear anybody say, "Oh, I did not like the senator from Vermont. I don't like the way he talks." And you know what? First of all, that's also it's somewhat anti-Semitic. It's somewhat anti-Semitic.
Well,
let's be honest.
Everybody who has that attitude, it's like, you know what? You're the reason that we're where we are.
Yeah, that's a selfish reason. If you're not voting based on policy, then what the hell are you voting on? How do you ignore people showing up? 25,000 people showing up at rallies and thinking, but they're wrong.
Yeah,
they are wrong. They're naive.
Deplorable.
They're terrible people.
People.
They're totally terrible people. And when you look at what happens when Bernie is filling stadiums and they're getting all those people there, who is responsible for them not saying, well, you know what? What I would like to know, and this is something that I really wish Bernie had more courage to say. If the electoral map looks this way, because the GOP is not going to let the Democrats steal it from them. So when you're dealing with the primary and you're dealing with non-corporate versus corporate, I would like to know what the actual vote splits were. And this is why Jen is going to be on with Greg Palast very soon. And one of the things that's going to be very interesting about that discussion is the fact that in California alone, the Democratic Party took 550,000 primary votes away from Bernie. You're never going to hear about that in the news. And how much of a difference in terms of delegates would that have meant? 550,000 primary votes? Can you even compute that? It could be hundreds.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, Bernie absolutely destroyed it in California and never got to reap the benefits of it because they had a narrative. They had to push it. They had to do everything they could to stop him. Why? Because Bernie wants to help you, and you're not allowed to be helped in the way that you really need it. That's the truth. That is going to get out there. Russia hacked the United States Postal Service. That's funny, Matt. Yeah, they'll probably say something like that. But again,
Russia.
Everything is an excuse. Never could it be us?
No, they're not going to. No, because that way they would have to. No, they don't want to talk about that.
Did another state just get called for Trump? Am
I missing something? No, what do you think? He's 118.
All right. So then I guess he is staying on line.
All right. Before. We need to wrap up.
So we're going to wrap up. We're coming up on 3 hours, guys.
I'm losing it.
The reality is this is when it slows to a snail's pace. And obviously, we're going to do our live stream on Thursday night. Both of us will be live. Katie Halper is going to be our special guest. I would assume by then, knock on wood, we'll probably know what the overall results are from the election. So we'll obviously have a lot to talk about. There will be a lot of discussion in terms of how we ended up here. But like I said, right now, it is not looking good for Biden.
No.
It is definitely looking good for Trump, even if he loses Arizona. Because again, the goal is to get to 270 electoral votes. For a while, it looked like the map might break in a certain way, but it's not. Eventually, when these states, if they end up getting called, the state to really look at right now is North Carolina. That's a big one.
Pennsylvania.
But right now, Pennsylvania, Trump is doing pretty well. He's obviously on the verge of picking off Ohio again. He's starting to open up his lead in Iowa. Not a surprise. Michigan. Trump is up by 11 points in Michigan with almost half the vote count.
And he was up, and he had half a vote count was in Pennsylvania, whatever he was up.
He's up 5 points in Wisconsin with 64% of the vote counted. He's going to win Montana. No votes reported in Nevada. That's interesting. Yeah, I think there's a very good chance that Biden is going to flip Arizona, but that has much more to do with Mark Kelly being an excellent senatorial candidate than it does with Biden doing anything else.
Yeah. That's him. That he's getting all his
and not only
votes.
Mark Kelly, but never forget how popular Gabby Gifford is in Arizona.
True.
That does matter a lot. And then one more. Okay. I just want to check. And of course, Trump is sitting fairly comfortably 5 points in Texas right now. If it looks like right now the outstanding votes have been counted in the major cities: Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and El Paso. If all these outstanding counties here are obviously red, which they are, then it does look like while it was a reasonable thought that Texas could have been in play, Trump is going to carry Texas. So if we go back to the map, let me see, how do I? Oh, right there. Sorry about that. So yeah, like I said, right now it's definitely looking like it's Trump's night again. That could change. There are no guarantees that it's going to stay this way. But with the way the trends are moving,
I don't see how it does. Like, if Biden wins what's projected to be his, which let's say he gets Minnesota and Maine, and even if he gets at Arizona, is that enough?
Not even close.
Okay,
it'll put him at like. If he gets Arizona 21, 25, he'll be at 234. And he'll get to 237 with Hawaii, 238 with Hawaii. Probably not going to get Alaska. Nevada is definitely in play. So let's give him, I'm not even going to do that. All I'm looking at right now, the one state that is in play that could definitely put Biden in position is if he manages to pull ahead in North Carolina. Trump leads in North Carolina. Well, actually, Trump now leads, it's now changed. Trump now leads in North Carolina by almost 1.5 points, by a little less than 100,000 votes. It's still close. There is no question that it is close in North Carolina. But again, it all depends on where is the outstanding votes coming from. If all the major city votes have been counted, then it's not going to matter. This is a state that was trending towards Biden at the beginning, but Trump has obviously pulled ahead late. And at 94%,
you have 94% reporting.
Yeah, so it's going to be hard for Biden to flip it, but it could happen. It's not impossible. So anything is possible in North Carolina. But with the rest of the states on the board right now, like I said, Ohio is definitely breaking for Trump. Florida, definitely breaking for Trump. Pennsylvania right now is looking like it's definitely breaking for Trump. Like I said, and then of course, obviously Texas.
He'll get Texas, he'll get Florida. I think he's going to get Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And maybe
I don't know about that. I don't know about Wisconsin. I'm not ready to go there yet. Iowa. Again, this is an electoral map that basically says
they look red to me.
If all these states go for Trump, just to give you an idea of where this is going to go, this is 3, this is 38, that's 41, this is 44, this is 6, that's 50, that's 60, that's 76, that's 80, 90, 94, 114, 129, 145, and 106. So again, it's going to be another electoral landslide for Trump if he keeps these states in his column. And that's, again, nobody predicted this. Nobody. They may have thought that Trump would win close, maybe, if everything broke right.
And we still don't know, though.
We still don't know. But there is a distinct possibility that Trump's going to go over 300 electoral votes again. I don't even know what to say.
And I will be curious to see what the popular vote is.
Yeah. It will be interesting.
Because he's still, right now, the popular vote is kind of trailing with the electoral college at this moment.
Yes, but again, not a surprise. Biden has pulled ahead in the electoral college vote, in the popular vote, excuse me. That was not.
He's winning the electoral college too, though, right now. That's the thing.
That on a technicality, yes, but you got to remember, Biden is running up the score on the West Coast right now, especially in California. There'll be like 3-4+ million votes that will go to Biden that would not go to Trump. And look, this is the argument for ending the Electoral College. And on one hand, you have a valid argument. On the other hand, I think the Electoral College needs to be modified. That's my opinion. I think it needs to go more with where the popular vote
Even
goes.
Joe Rogan's done now.
So he is?
Well, it says their stream ended.
Okay. So at this point,
if Joe Rogan's ending, we're ending.
At this point, hold on. At this point, we have definitely. Can we take Obama's phone privileges away? No, but we could stop.
You know what?
Shooting shots and being like, "That's what I do."
Oh my God.
How about passing a public option when you were president?
You know what? No, he's too busy sitting in his $14 million Martha Vineyard estate.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Like I said, even if Biden somehow pulls this off, the fact that this map looks this way right now should tell you all you need to know. And the only reason that Trump will lose right now is if enough people did come out to vote that were simply sick of how he handled COVID. That's it. It has nothing to do with Biden, because a map should not look like this.
And it has nothing to do with policy in general.
No. Well, Biden didn't run on anything.
No, not even his policy. Trump's policy. There's no policy. All of his people say things like, "Oh, the economy's doing great. He really brought it back. If it weren't for COVID." Like his people just sit there and spew talking points. But they don't actually talk policy. They don't know what they're talking about.
For them, it's
not that the Biden
feeling.
supporters know what they're talking about either. They just know, "Ooh, vote blue. It's good."
It is.
And you know what? They won't be able to blame it on me. This is one they can't blame on me.
No.
And they're not going to be able to blame it on Howie
Hawkins. They want to come
Hawkins.
off about making this big deal about, your vote counts and you got to do this, you got to do that. How about the fact that Trump may score a triple margin in Florida? It is what it is. I
actually am looking forward to the first county DEC meeting where they regroup after this and they have to sit there and be like, how did that happen to us? Maybe it was because the local chair of our DEC, when I questioned said person and I said, "Well, what are you, she's like, we really got to just focus on winning Florida." Well, how are you going to do that? What are you offering people? What are we campaigning for?
Oh, plenty.
Yes. And said chair of our local DEC, all we're doing is voter registration and banning assault weapons. And that's it. And she actually did that with her hands. And that's it. Meaning they weren't taking up any other policy initiatives or working on any other ways to attract people to vote for us. None. They were registering voters and working on banning assault weapons. So when people in Broward, you want to know why our Democratic Party, even though there's so few in the state, why ours is so feckless, it's because all they worked on during a pandemic, during a time when we've had Donald Trump as president, and all they can do is sit around and bitch at how bad and horrible he is. And yet all our local party wanted to do was register voters and ban assault weapons. How'd that work out for you guys? I really do. I feel like I told these people 2 years ago, I said, you cannot ignore where things are going. This is not going to end well for you. Bernie is the compromise. All of those things. I told them that. Yeah. They don't listen. And they also, by the way, our local DEC has not made quorum in 4 years. So that's how powerless and feckless they are here. And yet they're going to just be so dumbfounded by this. They're going to be like, how did this happen?
Are they actually blaming Joe Jorgensen, the libertarian candidate?
They will.
They will. You've really jumped the shark now. You really have.
They will. They'll blame everybody. They'll blame everybody and their mother because it's so much easier than taking responsibility. And I do look forward to watching that sort of post game at the local level here when they're all just, they cannot fathom how this could happen to them. Maybe you lost 2 local congressional seats and you're going to lose the state of Florida to Trump. Maybe it's because you've got nothing better to offer anybody.
And you cost so many people their races tonight.
And maybe people should look around and maybe people should look around and look at your sitting congressional representative, especially here in District 23, and ask yourself, how well did she do for you? Yeah. How's this looking for you now? Do you think that name and reputation really rallied people to the polls? You think your congressional leadership was so helpful in getting out the vote because people want more people like them? Please. The Democrats lost 2 congressional seats down here in one day. Vamos. And now they're going to lose to Trump. And that's just the way it's going to be here. So, and I part of me is somewhat pleased about it. They do need to learn this lesson. It's a very ugly lesson to learn, but they need to learn it.
I don't know if they can learn it.
Well, you know what, though? I know that they certainly aren't going to be blaming this one on me, but, or, my green vote, because since I did vote for Joe, it doesn't seem to make a difference. But, yeah, I will be, it'll be interesting to be in some of those Dem Club meetings when they're sitting around and having their play, trying to figure out what did we do wrong. They actually, I went to the sort of Monday morning quarterback session for them in 2018, after Gillum lost. And it was just them sitting around scratching their heads. They couldn't figure it out. They blamed it on racism. That was their number one thing. That's what they believe. If you ask an establishment Democrat in one of our Democratic counties in the state of Florida, like Broward, why did Andrew Gillum lose? They're going to tell you because he's Black and it was a racist issue.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to say. They're not going to acknowledge, maybe having him drive around this area with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Hillary Clinton, and Michael Bloomberg wasn't a good idea after, all the progressives voted for you. So, to people that were still taking pictures of people that are just not very well liked, not a good plan.
Everything, no matter what ultimately ends up happening, a lot of things have ultimately have been shown to be true tonight. And again, it's only a matter of time, but the map is looking like it's breaking for Trump. And right now, Trump is now up in Nevada. So, like I said, people who are excited about Arizona, yeah, that's nice. But again, it had more to do with having a really dynamic senatorial candidate against a completely crappy GOP candidate. And it's great when it happens because you need better representatives in the high offices. But everything that this map is showing is that you have always underestimated how popular this man really is.
They don't want to see it.
He made Ron DeSantis a freaking governor of the state of Florida. Adam Putnam was going to be our governor, and Trump totally stepped in and said, I really like this guy, Ron DeSantis. He literally flipped a Republican primary, and then he made him the governor.
This brings me back to when I was doing that Fat Art Village, and I basically got scolded because I was trying to tell the people there. We had just come from that Trump rally like that weekend before, and I was trying to tell a lot of the progressives that
you do not understand who goes to this rally and who supports him.
And I was trying to tell them, this group of progressives that, you guys are the Democrats are underestimating Trump's supporters. They're trying to pigeonhole them, that they're all this one type of person, which they are not. And they're still not getting it. They didn't learn from their lesson with the whole deplorables fiasco. And they're still downplaying those people that are Trump supporters. It's not helping them. And I basically got scolded and shushed for speaking and trying to tell them that Trump is actually really popular. They didn't want to hear it. So when people don't want to hear it, they're not going to really be able to do anything to fix it. So we are where we are because the Democrats don't want to change. They don't want to be a Labor Party anymore. They want to just keep suckling at the corporate teat.
But if Trump does win, and especially if he wins convincingly, you have to wonder if there's going to be a real opening now for them to basically just say, yeah, something's not going to work. And we've got to change.
Swirl, it's always a good night for pot. But yes, I agree that it is definitely a good night for pot.
And don't forget, Debbie thinks you should be in jail if you have pot. So
she thinks it's a gateway drug.
Hey, I mean, like I said, Debbie, as I just put out for you on Twitter, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the embodiment of what is considered a net negative for the Democratic Party. She may win in her district because it's got so many Democrats, but people look at a representative like her and know that if they don't win the state on the other side, you're going to have to deal with people like that. And they vote against it.
Every time.
Just like the GOP sends out fundraising emails against Nancy Pelosi. This is who you're going to have to deal with if we don't win. And it works.
It does. It does. So, all right, locals. If you keep taking your picture with Debbie, don't know that it's serving you well.
No, it's definitely not. And yeah, unfortunately, you're in Mike Pence's state, Swirly, and that's
hot for you.
Oh, but you got Mayor Pete. Maybe he'll call the race early like last time, just,
Mayor
just
Pete. All
saying.
I'm going to go because I didn't really eat.
I
grabbed a snack.
I'm going to get a snack as well. But guys, it's really been a pleasure. This is the longest show we've done yet. We're over 3 hours.
And I'm kind of
like I
over
said,
it.
we'll check the map one last time before we go. Yeah, everything is kind of just holding steady for Trump right now. Like I said,
yeah, I got it.
Anything is possible, but it looks like in some ways Trump is actually outperforming what he did in 2016 in the states that he won, which is amazing. Everybody thought, but let's be honest, these 4 states that I'm highlighting right now, if Trump wins this, it's over. He doesn't even need to win all of them, but it looks like right now he has an 11-point lead in Michigan. You have failed, Democrats. You have failed. And you are about to have a reckoning that you don't even recognize is coming.
No.
This is going to be bad, really bad. People were able to put up with your shaming and your detrimental attitude towards everybody. No additional voices. Everyone must do as I say, not as I do. Now we're going to throw it in your face, and it ain't going to be pretty, because now we're taking no freaking prisoners. And now you don't have this boogeyman to throw at us 4 years from now. We are coming for you. We're taking over no matter what happens, because he is going to be a lame duck president if he manages to pull this off. Biden will be primaried in 2024 if he is the president. And yes, Kamala Harris will be primary too if somehow you get to her.
We're not going to just tolerate Kamala. That's not happening.
So keep that in mind. It's been a very eventful night, not because we didn't see it coming, but because we almost instinctively knew this was coming.
I'm not remotely surprised.
You didn't run on anything. You couldn't even run on one mother effing issue.
Nothing.
Not one.
Not one thing.
In the middle of a pandemic, you couldn't
I'm not
run
the
on
socialist.
Medicare for
I
all.
beat the socialist.
Yeah. And Joe, look at the race that you're putting on right now. Look at how you're getting your rear end handed to you in Pennsylvania. And what does that tell me? What that tells me is you could have easily said nothing about fracking.
Isn't he from Pennsylvania?
Yes, he is from Scranton.
That's what I'm saying.
And he could have you didn't even have to say anything about fracking. All you had to do was just simply say, we are going to bring new clean energy jobs to the state, and it's going to be sustainable for decades to come. Instead, you have to say, I'm not banning fracking. Come on, man. It's like, why are you addressing it? You allow them to control the narrative. That's horrific. So, again, who knows? Everything is but, just this moment in time. It's unfortunate that we are where we are. I know a lot of people want to blame, Trump and all the things that he does. But the truth is, you never really did anything to change the narrative away from the fact that Biden was not a good candidate. In fact, in many ways, he was worse than Hillary. Hillary at least was running on, whether you like it or not, she was running on being the first Madam President.
Yes, and there were so many women, and then she had the whole breast cancer card, which she, the cancer survivor card.
That's Debbie.
Right. No, sorry.
But the point is, at least
I can't keep doing this.
You can understand. Yeah, well, look, you're tired.
I'm tired.
But at least you can understand that is why it ultimately broke the way that it did. And no one knew what Trump was. They didn't know what to expect. And Hillary outspent Trump by $800 million. That's a lot of money.
It's so absurd.
Yeah. $14 billion was spent on this election.
Oh my God. God.
I mean, talk about setting money on fire. Could we not nominate any more Amy McGraths for the U.S. Senate? Could we at least agree on that? That one, I think, alone. Could we agree to that? No more Amy McGraths.
No, I don't know that they can do that.
No more people posing as Republicans. Either you are one or you're not. Make up your mind. That's the way it works.
I'm leaving now.
I
need to leave
on
now.
On that note, when you run a Republican against a Republican, they will choose the real Republican.
The real
every
Republican.
Time.
Go figure.
Good night, all.
Make it stop.
And
make it stop.
And we're